Whatever the hell that song is.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of 7 Minutes, the podcast that is always at least 7 minutes. Welcome, welcome. All four of us are back again. Zack, Dom, Robert, myself, Angela, Angie, whatever. It's always Angie to family and friends and Angela to everybody else. Anyway, so we have not met for a little while, and it's been a handful of months, but in those handful of months, a lot of things have happened, so we have a lot to talk about. Starting with the state of play, and then Summer Game Fest, and then the Xbox Showcase, and then ending with the most recent Nintendo Direct from, what was that, just 2 days ago? 3 days ago? I think it was 2 days ago. And talking about all of our impressions, the things that we're looking forward to the most, etc., etc. But I guess, as always, we'll start with what we've been playing. And since we have so much to talk about, I'll keep mine very brief. So mostly I've been focused on Kiwami 3, Yakuza Kiwami 3, plus Dark Ties. And I guess the long and short of it is that the game is really beautiful graphically, visually, but a mixed bag in other regards. The combat is fun, but it has that, I don't know, it's almost like a ragdoll kind of physics when you're running around. It's kind of how it feels. Um, like Kiryu's body is just kind of all over the place. I just feel like Kiryu and Mine both feel like they're almost sliding around when you're running around Okinawa and Kamurocho. I don't totally love the feel of the game when you're running around and when you're exploring and when you're fighting. Again, it feels like their bodies are very loosey goosey. The combat was also a mixed bag. You have the two different fighting styles. You have the Okinawan fighting style and Kiryu's kind of more just traditional hand to hand combat. The Okinawan fighting style was actually pretty fun, but I do feel like it was kind of hard in this game to pull off heat moves for whatever reason. You'd get the prompt, to press X, and I feel like you just had this really minuscule window of time to press that button and actually pull off the heat move. And the moves themselves were just nowhere near as entertaining or creative as some of the previous games. Some of the heat moves kind of surprised me that they even were heat moves because they felt like just kind of basic attacks. I don't know, a bit uninspired, I guess. And for the Okinawan style, you're pulling out all these different weapons at once, and that's pretty cool. If you focused on like one button in the combo, for example, you'd pull out a particular weapon and you would continue to use that weapon, like a tonfa or a nunchaku, for example. It kept the style very fresh and very interesting. So I did lean more towards fighting in the Okinawan fighting style than Kiryu's standard style in this game. As for the story, it was also a mixed bag in terms of how well it lands and how much it makes sense. This is a game, if you've ever seen the meme of, because it's definitely a meme now, of beautiful eyes. That is, this is the game that comes from. Um, and some other kind of classic, cheesy dialogue from the series. So it's actually worth playing even just to see those moments. As for Dark Ties, the side content that is supposed to be kind of an origin story for Mine, I'm just finishing it up. It's an interesting choice for additional side content. It's similar to the Majima Saga in Kiwami 2, in that it's giving you more backstory and history of a beloved character. It doesn't land anywhere near as well or as as impactful as the Majima Saga. Um, Without spoiling too much, all I'll say is that it revolves around Mine and Kanda's relationship and how that starts. But my problem is that Kanda is one of the most irredeemable characters in fiction that I've ever encountered, especially in gaming. But the side content in Dark Ties, it kind of tries to make him not necessarily fully redeemable, but does try to give him some redeeming qualities. And it just doesn't work for me when Kanda is he's just a piece of shit human being. And that's what he's supposed to be. Like it's not like I'm interpreting him uncharitably. He starts off the main game coming out of prison for sex crimes. He's a rapist. It's not up for interpretation. It's very clear that that's what he was in prison for, and starts off Dark Ties immediately trying to hit up the soap lands and the massage parlors for some action. And when he's not satisfied at those places that he goes to, he tries to rape a woman on the street. And Mine intervenes. I will not say that Mine necessarily saves this woman or stops Kanda because he's invested in saving her, though he is disturbed by Kanda's behavior and he does comment on it. Um, and says to himself that basically Kanda is an animal. So it's a little hard to try and play this content that's trying to make him seem like he is a redeemable character or like just kind of comic relief. In particular because the other yakuza are not okay with it. Yes, they're criminals. They are part of this organized crime syndicate, but they have limits in terms of what they're willing to stomach and accept and not accept, and rape is one of those lines that they're not willing to cross. Obviously, not every yakuza is so upstanding and will commit those kinds of crimes, but for the most part, it's considered a really dishonorable thing. So even the rest of the yakuza are really not invested in trying to make this guy seem like he's a good person. So the content just that part of the content just really wasn't landing for me. Um, and I don't need, like, I am totally fine with bad guys being terrible people. I am okay with bad guys just being bad for being bad's sake. Uh, it's just that it seems weird to keep Kanda as he is, as he always has been, and then try and make him some sort of comedic relief. It's just kind of strange. I also did some of the Shinobi DLC. I started with the boss DLC. There were three Sega bosses that Shinobi can fight. I started with Majima, of course. He is incredibly difficult. It's a great challenge, but it's going to take me a while to beat that. He's really hard. But it looks great and it's really fun. I've been enjoying that and getting back into Shinobi. And then finally, started playing Forza Horizon 6 in Japan. It's a great looking game. It's really beautiful. The NPC characters are insufferable. Luckily, you can turn off the voices, and that's nice. But the gameplay itself is really fun, and the game is just really gorgeous to look at. And there's so many cool cars, and I'm aiming to unlock, the muscle cars. That's where my interest lies. So.
Let's celebrate because this is the first game you have willingly played on PC.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had a Steam account on with my old email address that I had to create for the video game PR firm that I used to work for. But I just used that to play just frankly bad games that I was having to represent at the time. Um, and I just wanted to start fresh. I didn't want those in my play history, so created a new Steam account with my new email, and yeah, this is the first game that I've actually truly played on Steam on the PC. So yeah, that's just long and short of what I've been playing.
Cool.
Robert.
I've also been playing Forza Horizon 6 a little bit, and I also couldn't stand the NPCs. We were talking about this at dinner. It's the same game every time. It's the quirky assemblage of people, and we're all friends, and here's long exposition that you don't want to hear, and you can't skip the cutscene, and then you get to the good stuff, and then you get the junk, and then you get back to the good stuff. I wish you would at least have the option to skip the cutscenes. It's like I do not care about these people at all. But once you get through them, and then kudos to the developer, you can actually lower the volume of all of their voices. I remember in Horizon 5, like you could put it as low as you wanted. I think you still could hear them talking a little bit, even at the lowest. This one, it actually turns it off, so thank God. Other than that, the game's really good. The setting, of course, is, awesome. They do a good job no matter what region they're in. Um, I was playing, it's been a while since we've recorded. I played Pragmata. That was incredibly impressive. Capcom's on a roll for this year. Requiem's amazing. It might be in my top 3 favorite Resident Evil games ever. And then Pragmata was also really impressive. So if you've never played it before, um, Pragmata is a third-person shooter, and you you have like an ally character. She's a little robot girl, and when you initiate combat, as you're aiming down sights, it pulls up her hacking matrix, and so when you aim at an enemy robot, the matrix for each enemy pops up, and there's different nodes that you have to slide through until you get to the final node, which opens up the robot so that you can actually damage it with your weapons. So
Do
it
they
makes
Sorry, I got a question. I actually don't know. Do they do more interesting things with it than just making the robot vulnerable? Like, do you inflict status effects or get to
yeah.
affect other?
In fact, you customize what other things you can do. So you can cause the robot to overheat. You can extend the duration that it's open. You can do, I think you can even get to the point where it does a little bit of physical damage as you're hacking the robot. There are nodes that you can put in that let you do like a multi hack. So you hack one robot, but then it extends to any others that are nearby. So it's incredibly involved. Um, and the game doesn't pause for it either. So you're having to hack in real time as the robots are coming at you. So the combat was really creative. The platforming, there's even times where gravity factors into it. It's just an incredibly impressive game. It was in development for I think at least 6 years, and it really shows. And when I previewed it, it was like the PlayStation 5 build, but we got the Switch 2 review key, and the RE engine's great. Like it scales impressively. And like I thought that it played really well on Switch to the point that the difference between it and the PS5 version was kind of negligible. You know, it's going to be the usual. It's crisper or whatever on PS5, but it looks great for a Switch 2 game. So um, I really enjoyed it. And then I'm working on my review of Final Fantasy Rebirth, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Rebirth comes close to feeling maybe almost overstuffed. But I mean, I've gotten every tower, I've been doing every side quest, like I've been doing everything and I've been enjoying it. So um I think that was just an impression that I had, but in action, it's just the right amount of stuff to do. Um
A lot of the side content, I think, isn't like it's not literally mandatory, but did feel compelled to do it because of the kinds of upgrades they tie into. Like, I'm not gonna not get the summon in every area. I'm not gonna uh, abstain from getting like weapon power ups or things like that. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it does add
everything's
up.
yeah, it's worthwhile, all the things that you get, for doing that. So, Rebirth, really good. We we did a redesign of the Nintendojo site,
Oh yeah.
and so if you go to our site now, on mobile, especially, that's where it really needed it. It actually renders like it should on a mobile device. You can read the articles on mobile way easier now. So that's been just super nice. Last thing was I've been playing Donkey Kong 64 on the expansion pack on Nintendo Switch. It's good, but man, it's twitchy, like the controls are not as tight as I would like them to be. And it's really, I mean, I get it, N64, 3D platformers, like, that's kind of the origin of them, right? But Mario 64 still runs really smooth. Like I don't have problems with Mario 64 the way that I do with playing Donkey Kong 64. There were a couple of like time-based challenges where I had to cross like a beam, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like I cannot get this character to just move in a straight line. And I'm trying to think back to, my kid self playing Donkey Kong 64. I don't remember having these problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that like Mario 64 runs better, but I've also played a Rocket Robot on Wheels on the N64 that controls pretty well. And I mean, Donkey Kong's the same people as Banjo, right?
Yeah, it's rare.
So it's weird.
I do have a feeling, I felt this even when I was a kid. If you look at Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie compared to Donkey Kong 64, I swear it felt like Donkey Kong 64 was not given as much polish as what they did for the other two games. I think at that point, they were enamored with Banjo because it was theirs. And so I think they put more effort into those two games than they did Donkey Kong 64. Part of it is just looking at the environments. A lot of the environments in Donkey Kong are like texture based. It's like a flat surface with some texture on it. Whereas Banjo, Kazooie, and Tooie, to me, have more elaborate, like actual structures and things in the game world by comparison. That's not to say there aren't things Donkey Kong 64 doesn't do well. I think the lighting in that game is a lot more impressive, possibly than either of those two games, especially the first Banjo, but even Banjo Tooie. Some of the lighting in Donkey Kong 64 is really impressive, even still to this day. But I just wish it controlled a little better, even with the N64 controller. Sorry. One last thing. And then I played the Star Fox demo. That was really good. I actually played that with the N64 controller because they said you could play it with it, and it handled perfectly. It was just like playing the original.
I feel like they had to, just to avoid bad press from people that care about that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're saying it's a remake, unless you're doing something that makes it drastically different, there really shouldn't be a reason it wouldn't work with that controller. But just as a throwback, it was really fun. But it plays well with the Pro controller as well. So however you want to do it, but that's what I've been playing.
Nice. Yeah, I think that if I played DK64, it would just be pure nostalgia. Because like, remember as a kid, like I had the strategy guide. I was like set on getting every color banana, like all that stuff, all the characters. So I might give it a go. But just a couple games I beat and played through. I played through the Vampire Survivors spin-off, Vampire Crawlers. It's like a card game. Um, and then I beat Pragmata. I just did the regular ending. I'm working toward. I guess there's like a secret ending, so
Okay.
working toward that. But man, what Robert was saying about that game, I agree with all of it. Graphically, with like the path tracing and the 4K and all that, it looks insane. Like it's a beautiful looking game. You're kind of getting into the nodes and like the gameplay elements of it, and um, you know, we discussed it before launch as a group, like who's going to be there to play it. And we all were kind of like, well, I don't know how this combat's going to be because if we have to stop and hack for every single one, I don't, that at least that was my take in the beginning. But once you get your hands on it, the fact that the hacking is done with the face buttons
Mm-hmm.
as directions, I thought that was really well done. Nothing feels repetitive. Even toward the end, it was great. And the variety of your nodes and like I had a heat build. So um while you're hacking, you can, like Robert was saying, you can build up heat on the enemy and then it like gets stunned and you do this super strong attack. And you can like fine tune your whole setup to just be heat based. So that's pretty fun. Story wise, it was fine. The little girl can be annoying sometimes, but yeah, it was an amazing game. I loved it. And then most recently, I played through Mina the Hollower. This was like a anticipated game for, I know, the majority of us. We all pretty much like Shovel Knight, and so this was like their second game
Yeah.
from Yacht Club. So it lived up to the hype, I believe so. The most unexpected thing from it is like it was very heavy platformer. That was the hardest part of the game. The bosses were really good, but toward the end, balance issues, in my opinion. It was almost like you became very tanky, and you could just kind of like face the enemy and just spam attack and not really worry about burrowing and dodging as much as
Kind
the
of
beginning.
disrespect the game towards the end.
Yeah, in a way, because there's these trinkets that really um, impact how you play the game. Like you can basically, if you die, you get a revive. So that's one like a necessity. I had that on the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of trinkets like that. So it was really good.
There's one you can get at the beginning that's like a secret. Like, at the beginning you get attacked by the whatever that sea creature is.
Mhm.
You can beat that sea creature at the very start of the game. Like when
Interesting.
they're attacking the boat, and you get
Yeah.
something for it. I thought that was interesting.
Nice. Yeah, I did not beat it. It beat me. Yeah, you could beat it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, you can beat it, and then you get a trinket that is helpful.
Wow. Very good. I got to go back. But yeah, it's funny. I think there's like 40 achievements or 30 achievements in the game. And after I beat it, I had like 6. And I just went through the trophy list or whatever just to see.
Yeah.
And some of them are just like, holy crap, man. Like, there's no way I'll be able to get 100%. But so since those, currently, I'm kind of all over the place, to be honest. I have a bad habit of just buying everything and waiting and just playing for a couple hours. So I'm playing 007 First Light, which is really boring right now, to be completely honest.
Have you done the table thing? Have you seen people doing that?
Nah.
So you know how he can vault over like a table or a
Mhm,
counter?
mhm.
You can like go through entire battles where you're doing the vault where he does like a kick as he's going over the vault.
Oh,
And the enemies don't know what to do, so you just keep jumping over and kicking them and doing damage and just like every direction vault over it until you beat everybody. I
wow.
was watching a guy do it. It was hella funny.
That's got to be slower than like shooting them, right?
Well, like there's some moments that are meant to be melee combat based,
Yeah.
and it was like a room with I don't know, at least 8 enemies, I think. And of course, none of them are using guns for some reason. Everyone's just swarming you. Or maybe there was some people with guns. No matter what, the table thing works until
That's
they
too
patch it.
funny.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty early. It's just a little boring. It's like, I don't know, coming from like Hitman is their last entry. It just feels like it's just super linear, but like I can't even explain. There's not much combat where I'm at. It's just follow here, investigate here, but they give you exactly what you have to do. So I don't know. I'm gonna try to stick with it. I heard it's a short game, so I might just do it. So and then I'm also playing Forza.
Mm-hmm.
Same things as you guys. The NPCs suck, but other than that, it's really good. Like the driving, the cars, the scenery, all that stuff. Lego Batman. I'm all over the place. I told you. Playing through the new Lego Batman game. I'm actually playing co-op with my kid, so that's been really fun. And finally, I settled on deciding to play through the OG Onimusha games before the new one comes out. So I bought 1 and 2, and I'm working through 1 right now. And it's kind of a breath of fresh air, honestly. Like the simplicity of like that era of gaming. It's like attack, block, dodge.
Yeah.
Not some overly complicated menu system.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying that right now, and I think it's a pretty well regarded game, like series, right? At least the first couple.
Especially the first one. I think the second and third one are supposed to be pretty good too. And I think the fourth one is supposed to fall off.
It's weird though. Like they did those 4, they were all on PS2, and then Capcom was just like, we're never gonna touch it again for 20 years.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, okay.
They
that's
did
why there's
like
a
a
lot
random
of hype.
fighting game too, didn't they?
Oh, I don't know.
There's a lot of hype for the new one from people who are fans of the series.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, because I mean, what it's been at least 20 years or
Maybe not quite that long, but it's been a
Damn
long
near.
time.
It
Yeah,
has been 20 years. I think the last
since
one
the
was 06.
original at least. But
Onimusha 4.
It's like Dawn of something.
2006.
Yeah,
so 20 years
Yep,
exactly.
Onimusha Dawn of Dreams.
they pumped those out. Because the first one was like a launch title for PS2. That doesn't give them a lot of time to put
Yeah.
out 4 games.
Yeah, they were all PS2, and it was in
Yeah.
fairly rapid succession. Then they just decided not to do it anymore for.
But God, that is how games worked in the PS1, PS2 era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 2 you can play on modern consoles, but the third and fourth, I think emulator is the only way. But my goal is to get through them before the new one comes out, which I probably will because I think it comes out September or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to settle down on one game.
Zach?
Okay. Yeah. And for me, my game time has been really taken up by, I know I talked about this last time, but I am doing this bingo board thing where I'm trying to play a different game or different genre of game every couple weeks. So whipping through a lot of things. Last time we recorded, I was partway through both Fantasia Neo Dimension, a JRPG, and Nex Machina, a twin stick shooter. I came out of Nex Machina liking it pretty well, but a lot of what I think I was getting out of a twin stick shooter, I also get out of a shmup, and I like shmups more. So I don't really think I'm going to be investing a ton of time in twin sticks compared to that. Fantasian was good, and we talked a lot about it last time. All I'll say is that the second half of the game, the end of the game, is the gameplay is more satisfying, but the story kind of falls off. Like it's not that the story elements that are there are bad, but it becomes much more threadbare. It feels more like a post game where what little bit of story hook is there is just an excuse for a dungeon or a super boss or something like that. After that, I played a rhythm game called Rhythm Doctor. The gimmick of that is there's only one button. Thematically, it's you're working at a hospital with an experimental remote defibrillator or something. So, like, you're a remote intern pressing your one button properly to help stabilize people's hearts. That's the concept. I thought it was a cute concept, but I found a lot of the music in the game to not be to my taste and the story presentation to be kind of cloying, and that kind of put me off. After that was I tried No Rest for the Wicked, which is an ARPG that's still in open access. I think it turned up at one of the shows.
The 1.0 is coming out in October. That's when
Yeah.
I'm gonna start playing it.
So that's when it's going to come to console, and that's going to be the full release. I played, it's been in early access for a couple years.
Mhm.
So
That's by the people who made Ori, right?
yeah,
Surprisingly.
kind of a switch.
Mhm,
Yeah. It's a cool looking game, and it's got a level of challenge that I appreciate, but I came away not super fond of it. I don't think I'm gonna. I mean, I own it, right? So I could play the full release, but I don't really have any particular plan to. There's a lot of like resource grinding baked in. Like every ARPG's got some like grinding for like loot for your build or whatever. But in this one, in addition to that, you're supposed to do a lot of like chopping down trees and mining rocks and things like that to get materials to build out the town. And I found that stuff real tedious. So wasn't super happy about that. After that was puzzle games. I had a few false starts with that. So I tried Snakebird, which is a puzzler that like you're maneuvering. It's supposed to be a bird because it's got a beak, but it basically moves like the old game Snake.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
so like you're getting longer, and that's complicating how you move. That actually just had like a really, for me, crazy difficulty spike, and I just wasn't enjoying it. So I gave up on that. Thank you, Steam refund window. And then I tried Return of the Obra Dinn, which I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. I don't have a particular clear complaint for that. I just didn't get very far. Ended up settling on a game called Hex Cells, which kind of works like Minesweeper or Sudoku or something like that, where it's this flat grid. It's a hexagonal grid, and there are like numbers on and around the hexagonal cells, the hex cells, that you can use to deduce which squares are lit up and which ones aren't. So really simple game, just a little bit of pleasant, really slight music in the background. It's kind of a chill game. I think it kind of like scratches a similar itch as doing, like Wordle and Strands or the other like New York Times kind of games that you just pick at bit by bit. So it's not like a super exciting game, but I really like that one. After that was Star Fox. I had played a little bit of Star Fox, the original Star Fox on Super Nintendo back in the day, but I never actually played Star Fox 64 or any of the other subsequent Star Foxes. And I decided to play that. I was actually more interested in trying Star Fox Zero because of the Wii U gamepad gyro control nonsense that people complained about when that game came out. I thought it was at least going to be interesting. But I also knew that that game was kind of iterative on Star Fox 64, and Star Fox 64 is like the big one in this series. I wanted to try that, which I did. Played both of those, and Star Fox 64 I think is a very impressive game. I have a lot of respect for it. I did come away with a problem with it though, which is I do not like the all range modes. The on rails like linear stages in Star Fox 64 I think are a blast. Absolutely hold up. But I never enjoyed the all range stuff for as long as I was playing Star Fox 64.
Did you ever play the Star Fox 2
No,
on the
no,
SNES Mini?
no. Star Fox Zero, I was actually really into that. That game is infamous for the gyro controls and also for a couple of like gimmick stages where you're controlling this little copter that's carrying around this robotic operating buddy thing that you then have to like steer around in first person. That's kind of awkward. I don't love that. But the gyro controls and the Wii U gamepad controls, like every problem I've seen stated about those, wildly overstated. Like you have to actually look at the gamepad way less than I was led to believe. It's pretty fluid. It works really well with the stage designs. I really liked it. More than the original. I know it's kind of a blasphemous opinion. I do like the original, and I think there's a lot to respect about the original Star Fox, but Zero is my Star Fox. After that, almost caught up, I promise, was 428 Shibuya Scramble, which was originally a Japan only Wii game that eventually came out on PlayStation 4. It's a visual novel that was actually recorded live. Like they actually did on-scene filming in Shibuya. And it's a crime mystery, and there's like conspiracies and stuff, and you're jumping between different perspectives. There's 5 different protagonists that you're switching between. So there's like a cop, there's like a teenager who's a former gang leader, there's a girl who's trapped in a mascot costume, there's a virologist who is the father of a girl who gets kidnapped, and that's what sets off the whole thing. And then there's this independent journalist, and you're jumping between all these perspectives. And it's a visual novel, so you're mostly just making choices in dialogue, but because there's 5 characters, choices you make with one can have consequences for others. So part of how you play the game is not just picking the dialogue, but is also seeing how what you're doing with one character affects another. I thought it was very satisfying. I have some complaints about some of the more fantastical elements that make their way into the story later, but by and large, I was very happy with that. And then to finish catching up, the last thing that I played and I'm prepping the video script for now is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. That's for the sports grid. I kind of felt like extreme sports skateboarding is not as sportsy as a sports game can be, but it is like the highest rated sports game of all time. So I figured it was a fair pick. I wish for this game in particular, I wish I'd given myself more time. Like with Fantasian, I knew it was going to be a long game. So I started picking at it farther in advance of when I was going to do the scripting and recording. This game I thought was going to be shorter based on checking how long to beat. And it is like pretty short, but there's a lot more depth and challenge in the mechanics than I was expecting. Crazy complicated controls, honestly. I kind of figured because I'd played SSX back in the day, I thought it would be like similar enough, but it's way more complicated. The skill ceiling for Tony Hawk is crazy.
Yeah, Tony Hawk, you can start doing all sorts of crazy stuff in terms of the combos and everything.
The sheer number of combos you can chain together is nuts.
Yeah, and it's so like I think like the first stage, for example, the Foundry, it sets a goal for you of like, can you get 10,000 points? Can you get 30,000 points? Can you get 60,000 points? And if you look up videos of people playing these stages, they can get like millions of points. Like it's just completely out of scale with what a new player is going to be able to do. So that's really cool. I wish I could say more about it. I do probably want to play more Tony Hawk games in the future based on this, but yeah.
Anybody here play the remakes?
Yeah.
Because they did 1, 2, and 3, and 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
They did something weird with 4.
So 4, I never played the original 4, but my understanding is that 4, I think it was like an open world structure or something. Like it didn't have the stage-based structure of 3, 2, and 1, and they bolted it onto 4 so that it's like the original games. So I don't know if that's good or bad or not because I never played the original, but I mean, the original Tony Hawk formula was pretty pristine, so it's like I don't know why you would screw with it anyway, but I'm sure there's people who either do or don't like that part of it.
I never played it, but many people think, is it American Wasteland or Wasteland?
I think there's an American Wasteland. I've also heard really good things about Underground, Tony Hawk Underground.
Maybe that's the one.
There's all sorts of stuff.
You have a lot to pick from.
Yeah.
Activision sent me a Doom Guy Tony Hawk skateboard when that game came out.
Oh, like an actual skate.
Yeah, it's an actual board.
Nice.
It doesn't have does it have the trucks?
Oh, that's cool.
I can't remember now if it's the full board with the trucks on it and the wheels.
That was like a
or not.
pre-order bonus. You could be the Doom Guy.
Yeah.
In which Tony
Okay,
Hawk?
3, the 3 remake.
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Or if you buy the deluxe edition or something like that.
Yeah. Cool. So that catches me up on the bingo board genre hopping challenge. There are a lot of games that have come out this year that I haven't been able to get to as a result. I haven't played Pragmata. I am really interested in playing Mina the Hollower whenever I can get to it. I've heard good things about it, including from Dom. Yeah, and I have poked my head into Forza just enough to try and stay on top of the seasons to make sure I can get all the weird old Japanese cars that I can. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
You've been busy, Zach.
Yeah, I don't necessarily recommend doing what I'm doing, at least at this pace. I think it's been an interesting exercise, but yeah.
Maybe like 1 game a month as opposed to 2.
Yeah.
That way you could play
Mix other stuff in and 4 longer games or a game that I want to spend more time with, like Tony
whole
Hawk.
month.
Yeah, for sure.
You live and you learn.
Yeah.
It's still cool.
Yeah.
Nice project.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we'll move on to the subject of the day, which is all of the different gaming summer presentations that have happened back to back to back to back.
The Summer
Um,
Showcase Spectacular.
Yeah, and we'll start with Sony's State of Play. So I guess we'll, for each of these, we'll just talk about our highlights. What we were interested in, or we're looking forward to. We think we're going to play, because there's so much. I mean,
There
like,
is.
I don't think that you're interested in hearing what we're not interested in, unless of course there's something that was just so offensively bad that we want to talk about it. But I think more so, yeah,
And
just
do
focusing on our highlights.
you have it up right now?
Mhm.
So what if we kind of like we just list them, name them, and then if somebody wants to talk about it, we could talk, or you know.
Oh, you mean just like listing what was named
It's
in?
kind of a lot.
Is it
though.
too much?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think
Okay.
it's probably better if we just talk about our highlights.
Yep.
You know, what we saw.
I'm a Nintendo guy though, so Sony can leave me alone.
Okay.
Okay. s- All right. Anyway, so whoever would like to kick off the state of play, if you saw anything, I guess I will say very first thoughts. I watched the trailer for Modern Warfare 4. I am not a big Call of Duty player. I liked Black Ops 2 way back when. Had a lot of fun with that. Cold War, I really enjoyed. And that's been about it. Unfortunately, I wasn't playing Call of Duty at its peak, and I really wish that I was. So I could have experienced some of those really iconic, levels and moments. But that being said, watching the Modern Warfare 4 trailer, it's not like I'm going to jump to play this game. Like I have to be day one or whatever. I did think the setting looked pretty interesting. Having it be, it looks like it's split between like South Korea and Paris. I don't really care about Paris, but the South Korean part actually looked pretty interesting. So just right off the cuff, just that's the first
Mhm.
thing I can think of that I thought was kind of cool.
Modern Warfare campaigns are always good, in my opinion, for the most part.
Yeah.
I got so pissed off with the second Modern Warfare 2, like the newer one,
Yeah.
because those damn upgrades or
Mm.
updates, where it's just like you turn on the console and it's like, oh, here's a
Yeah.
30 gig update. And maybe I'm trying to remember if I had bad internet when I played Modern Warfare
Took like
2.
2 days for it.
Yeah, I just remember like I was trying to go through that campaign because I'm pretty sure I did the first Modern Warfare remakes campaign and liked it. But the second one, I'm going through it and it was just forever, just like always with the updates. I said, "F it, I'm not playing it." I did the multiplayer for Modern Warfare 3, if I'm remembering correctly, but I didn't do the campaign at all.
Yeah.
So looking at the trailer for 4, I did think that it looks pretty interesting. So I might have to go back and do those campaigns, but
They hit. They are better received too, because like the most recent Black Ops 7 campaign got just drugged like from reviewers and
Mhm,
stuff.
mhm.
So hopefully they nail this one. It's funny. That's the first thing we bring up. I was talking to one of my buddies. So like on my PC, I was starting to run out of room, like to download stuff from Steam, and I'm like, damn. When Black Ops 7 came out, my siblings came over and we bought and downloaded, day one.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, man, I don't know what it is. I'm like, you know what? Do I still have Call of Duty installed? So I went to the Xbox app on my PC. Lo and behold, like 200 something gigs of just taking us. I haven't played
Yeah.
Black Ops 7 since launch. It's just been taking up space.
Oh, man.
I uninstalled it so quick.
Yeah. Man, a couple hundred gigs. Oh my God.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Well, Marvel's Wolverine got, an extended look. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I think one of the things that really pushed me is like some crybaby was saying, "Is it too violent?" I'm like, give me a break, man. Okay. It's like I asked that question as a nerd, just in terms of would Wolverine as a character be gutting people like this nonstop? I'm a little on the fence because of just that. But like looking at it as a whole, I was like, I don't know how impressive this is. I'm like, I don't think the Reavers look very interesting. They're just sort of generic robot soldier people, and they're boring and bland. Um, he's not Spider-Man, yet he's doing quite a bit of like long jumping and leaping. And I'm like, like that's not how Logan moves, It's like he's short, he weighs a lot because of the metal. So it's like I don't think he should be quite as like agile as they're kind of showing him. there is definitely something to the satisfaction of like clawing and tearing up the enemies. I found it a little off-putting that the blood just like disappears off of them almost instantly. It's like water in like a game,
Mhm.
like in the modern games, the character gets wet and then you can see they're wet and then they kind of dry off. It's like, oh, that's interesting.
Mhm.
With Wolverine, it's like he's covered in blood, and then a few steps later, it's just kind of gone.
Really?
Mhm.
But I don't know. At the same time, I'm a little curious about it, but it has some major red flags. I don't like the way Jean looks.
Yeah, Robert had asked this question of me and Zach. Well, I mean, primarily of Zach. Of did does the did the footage of Wolverine seem character accurate, to his representation in the comics? And um, I don't know as much as Robert and Zach do about Marvel stuff and comics, but I read a pretty fair amount when I was a teenager, growing up with Robert. And I can say that even with my more limited knowledge of the X-Men in particular and Wolverine, even though I really like Wolverine as a character, even I was looking at this footage and I was like, this doesn't this doesn't really seem right. Something about this gameplay just seemed off in terms of like character representation and character accuracy. Um, if it wasn't Wolverine and it was a different character, it was just some OC or whatever, it'd be whatever. It's just like the combat did look cool, the combat did look fun, but it just didn't seem accurate to me. I don't know. There was just something off. And yeah, I mean, like Robert said, the Reavers look really generic, really boring. Jean, woof. I mean, like I don't even care. Like, I've started to care less and less about pulling my punches with some of my commentary. Like, I'm a straight woman. I had, don't really necessarily care if a female character is like super attractive or not, but I've got a big problem with Western studios constantly making female characters ugly. I'm sorry, Luffy, whatever the hell her name is in the God of War game was like another example of this, where it's just it's almost insulting, especially when the female voice actor is actually an attractive woman, and they model the character off of her to some degree, but then make her ugly. You know how insulted I would be if I was a voice actor? I'd be like, "What is that? Like, that's supposed to look like me?" I mean, I don't know what's going on with Gene, but it's no good. And like,
Well,
let's be honest here, because Insomniac's making it, Wolverine ain't gonna wind up with her. Like, it's not happening. Like, he'll.
good.
Oh, I know Zach has strong feelings about this, but
No, I
he's been
mean,
holding on to these feelings
no.
for
First
like
of all,
30 some odd years.
Jean Grey should have stayed dead
Oh, here we go.
after the Dark Phoenix saga. But Wolverine's relationship with Jean should be unrequited love. It's not that she shouldn't have any complicated feelings at all, but the proper like framing that relationship is unrequited love.
It did taint my ability to just sort of take the trailer for what it was, because I'm looking at it thinking the violence is the way of throwing the fans a bone,
Mhm.
because it's the one thing they can throw in there that's like truly authentically Wolverine. And then the rest of it will be, she's the real leader, she's the better Wolverine, or
Peter,
whatever.
this is exactly what Robert's saying. This is quite literally what Peter was telling Mary Jane in the fight with Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2 when she turns into a symbiote. I think she's like Scream or something like that. He is apologizing to her because she's screaming about how, she's always in his shadow, and you're a fucking bum who can't keep a job, and I keep having to pay the rent and blah blah blah, and which is like, it was, I guess, an interesting concept, that all this repressed anger would come out in her symbiotic form, but it was also just like listening to two people having a domestic dispute. It was like watching a domestic dispute. Like,
That seems
it
that
was-
seems fine and
they're playing
potentially
through it.
interesting. I
It
understand like
could've-
not wanting
It
that.
could have potentially been interesting, but instead it just came across as weak Peter, who's weak throughout that whole game, who is a weak man, who's just like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I didn't know you felt this way, I didn't know you felt this way, while he's like dodging and hitting and throwing. It's just
That-
absurd. Then, like, from a narrative standpoint, because, narrative is a big thing for me in games, and something I appreciate. I was kind of annoyed how, like, if you read the comics, you know that Wolverine can ride a motorcycle. But because these games have to have the MCU quips, They just cannot step away from this type of writing. He spots the motorcycle during the gameplay, and I think he says something goofy like that'll work. But an act because they need the normies to know, like he rides a motorcycle, as opposed to if it just would have been so much more effective if the camera just pans out a bit and you just see the little bit of the motorcycle that you do, and he doesn't say a word. You see him looking at it, and then the next scene, he's riding on that motorcycle and he's chasing the train. You don't need the little MCU quippy things, but you have to have it because it's Insomniac, because it's modern day garbage writing. And it didn't give me any hope that this game is going to be any better than like Spider-Man 2. So,
All I'll say about Wolverine is that I don't really have a problem with like the level of violence it's depicted with,
same.
but I thought it looked so dull.
Yeah.
Um
What is that armor?
yeah,
That's
I mean,
just
not just the character design, just like I don't know. This actually goes for a lot of the stuff that Sony was showing off, not just this. Wolverine, I think, was further down for me than like God of War Lofi or um Onimusha or Phantom Blade Zero, but really like watching the Sony show. I felt a lot of fatigue with third person, hyper realistic melee games with a lot of like quips or like a talking companion. And I just kind of felt like I was seeing a lot of the same stuff
Mm.
over and over.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah, like God of War. Um,
I thought
yeah,
the combat looked kind of promising for God of War, honestly.
yeah. I mean, she's established. It's Kratos' wife, whatever. But I think that for me, the larger problem is it's like Sony has a pretty diverse array of at least types of games, right? And now I say this, I have not played the last two God of Wars, right, where he has the son or whatever, boy. Um,
Dad of War.
Yeah, so I can't speak to those, but when I think of God of War, I think of bald, bright white Kratos smashing and destroying and going crazy with all, like the insane weapons and combat. Uh, he's bagging chicks. That's another part of the game, whether you like it or not. Um, and this just doesn't feel anything like it. Now, maybe it veers closer to the last two games, fine. But if I'm Sony, it's like, look, man, you've got all these different properties. They can theoretically serve different audiences. I don't need God of War to serve the same audience that tunes in for The Last of Us Part 2. It's like, you have this very involved narrative. She has the funny cube sidekick guy that's Huey from The Boys, and on and on. It's like, maybe this could very well be a very good game. But if you take God of War out of the title and it's just Lofty, that's the name of the game. It's a Lofty, and it's a new adventure series that they're putting out. I don't even know if it really gets the time of day. It feels like it's getting some rented respectability because you're throwing God of War on there.
Mhm.
And again, it could be very fun. The combat could be reminiscent of God of War and whatever. But I'm just saying, in terms of flavor, it's not God of War. God of War is big, bald, crazy Kratos, and when you remove him, I don't know if the end result's going to be worth it. I mean, ultimately, the game will speak for itself, right? The game will justify if it deserves to exist. But just looking at it and sitting through the state of play, I'm like, man, that was supposed to be like the big thing was God of War Lofty. And I'm just like, I honestly think if I'm a God of War fan, I'm sitting and thinking, okay, and then how long until we get the next game and Kratos comes back?
Mhm.
Like, that's what some of the people were thinking as they watched the reveal for that game was, so when's Kratos coming back?
Yeah.
Dom, save us from this gripe fest. What did you like from State of Play?
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking God of War. Yeah, I mean, I'll play Wolverine probably.
Mhm.
Going through so Rayman Legends,
Mhm.
when I saw it come up, I'm like, cool, but I don't think it needed a remake.
Mhm.
To be completely honest, I loved Origins and Legends
Mhm.
Mhm.
like a lot. Those are some great games.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it's cool. I'll play it
Mhm.
because I loved it so much. I want to see what they change and stuff like that.
I can talk about my experience playing Rayman Legends when we
Yeah.
get to the Nintendo, when we get to SGF. but
Oh, okay. Because I
yeah.
mean, they did reveal it on State Play.
I can
think,
at least talk to some of like the new
Yeah,
content.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll get there.
Tomb Raider looks really good.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Tomb Raider looks good.
Yeah, we have to see that too.
So,
And
okay,
Chef,
okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, so we can dive
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah.
The trailer was really cool. I'll play Phantom Blade Zero and Onimusha. I was curious what you thought about Silent Hill.
Me?
Yeah,
I didn't.
because you liked F, right?
I did like F. I actually did not see any. I know that that new one is coming
Townfall.
out. Yeah, but Townfall or whatever. But I didn't watch any of the
Another
trailers.
September game.
Another one?
September is brutal.
Yeah.
Like it's
And spend
insane.
$10,000.
And it's yeah. I think that horror game Ill.
Mm-hmm.
God, what I saw of that, it looked just so gross and really interesting.
That got a lot of talk.
Yeah.
I got so when they first revealed Scorn, it's like a horror puzzle game that was on Xbox. I got that kind of feeling, even though Scorn didn't pan out as well. Hopefully this one does. And then I'm interested in Control.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I really liked the first one, and Rarity's good.
Right.
They deliver pretty much.
I actually have a
every time.
question for Zack because he's the Dynasty Warriors guy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play the original Dynasty Warriors 3? And 2, are you at all interested in the complete edition remastered that's coming out?
3 is the first Dynasty Warriors I played.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Mm.
I
Isn't
think
it like the thing that changed the tides kind of with Dynasty, where like it made Dynasty Warriors, or am I off base?
yeah, it was a big step up from 2 was a hit when it came out, I think, but 3 I think is what made it like a bigger thing. I want to see more about it. I'm because they are changing more than I realized they were going to, in terms of like mechanics and things like that. But I'm potentially excited for it. I think it's the game that was shown at the State of Play that I am most likely to buy and enjoy. I don't know that I'd pre-order it, just kind of like waiting to see how it pans out and see how other Dynasty Warriors players feel about it.
Okay.
But I think it could be really good.
The last thing I'll say about the God of War thing is, like, to Rob's point, I did like the last Ragnarok and the 2018. They were good. I mean, the constant talking to yourself, like, that's the thing with like these Sony games, what everybody kind of was saying. But it's not just so much like other characters, like you're talking to yourself in so many of these games.
Yeah.
Like in the trailer, Lao Fei or whatever, Faye was like literally talking to herself.
Like what's his name from Days
Deke.
Gone? Yeah, Deke.
Yeah, and that's another Sony game. It's like that is played out and really irritating. And like when we find out, as soon as we found out I'm playing as the wife, I was like, I mean, you can't see my face, but I was just kind of like, yeah, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah.
As the final reveal trailer.
Yeah.
Story wise, it could fit in, whatever. The fact that it's, when she dies is when this kind of takes place.
Yeah.
It could be an expansion. It could be a DLC for something, or a side game and God of War, Super Ragnarok is coming or whatever. But
Insomniac knows too. I think on Twitter they were like, "Hey, just want to make sure everybody's rest assured that a Kratos led God of War game. This is like, almost like making sure they know that they know. Hey, we might have messed up."
Oh, I think you mean Sony Santa Monica, I think. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah, this is no longer Insomniac. Yeah, sorry about that. Santa Monica. Yeah.
Yes. Going back to Rayman. So I think the way we're handling this is because Rayman was shown for everything. I think it got a preview during every showcase, and they had a preview for it with Nintendo. But just speaking to it as a PlayStation reveal, my problem with it was when I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Why are they remaking Rayman Legends? It's actually been longer than you would think since that game first came out. It's been a while. But I was like, why Legends? Like, why not start with Origin? Because Origin's really good. But then I looked at the graphics and I was like, oh no. I was like, they took this and just threw it in Unreal Engine. I know that's what this is. And I think they've confirmed that it was built in Unreal Engine. And like, man, I feel bad. Unreal Engine can do some wonderful things, but every time I see it now, I'm just like, oh, they didn't want to try very hard. That's what I think. Every time I see Unreal Engine 5, I don't know why. And that's unfair because there are some great games that are made in it. But I saw this and I was just like thinking about it after the fact. And I'm like, well, the whole thing that made Rayman Legends special was that it was this beautiful hand-drawn art style. Like, that was the whole point of it. And instead, they're like, no, we're not going to do that. Now it's a 3D character model, blah, blah, blah. But playing what we got to was 3 stages. I think they did a good job. It feels exactly like the original as far as I can tell. Is it in Unreal Engine? Yes, but they went through a lot of trouble with the character models. Like they're exaggerated. They look like 3D versions of the 2D characters. And there's a beautiful lighting system that they have in place to where there's a lot of character to each stage and everything. So it looks the part. We got to do the music stage was that first one, the hell is it called? What's the song, Angie, that it was?
I can't remember.
Uh
It wasn't the Run DMC one, right?
no, it's the very first musical stage.
Yeah,
It's like da 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 whatever the hell that song is. It was fine. But they've introduced it's like a kind of a shooting stage where you're flying a dragon and you're blasting stuff in your path, and then it goes to 2D, and then you go tumbling out of the sky. I believe that is what they use as a transition to go from different biome to biome in the game. And then there was one other thing that they showed. What was the first stage, Angie?
I believe it was the first stage in the original game, he said.
Yeah, it wasn't a musical stage. So they gave us one of the regular platforming stages. They gave us the new shooting stage, which I think is partially possible because it's built in 3D. And then there was a music stage. It all felt fine. I just don't know that it was necessary.
Right.
And then I mentioned to the dev that they had said they were talking to somebody at Ubisoft about future Rayman, and I think the person they spoke to already said the next Rayman game will probably be 3D. And I was just like, so I don't get it. Like,
Could have skipped this. Use your resource for that.
yeah, it's just kind of weird. And then we're getting Origin. It's going to be like a 4K upgrade, but it is maintaining its 2D art style. So the whole thing's it's just kind of bizarre. It's like with the Rayman 30th anniversary, they put that out and it didn't have the original music.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, where's the original music? It's
Yeah.
like, of all the games, you can't get the soundtrack for freaking Rayman? Like, come on, man. So, I don't know. It was fun, but it didn't get me like, yeah. So, and I don't know if anyone else, Zach, did you have anything for State of Play?
Yeah, a couple things to mention. One, I don't even know if I'm going to buy this or just like watch clips of other people online, but I do think Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls is shaping up to look cool. Villain's team added Carnage, so you guys can clap for it.
It does look cool.
I hate when they give him teeth. He's supposed to have black teeth.
When they announced it, I was like, I might play this one.
Yeah. And realistically, like I don't know if I got energy for it because tag fighting games are like some of the hardest.
Right.
But yeah, I think that looks cool. I'm actually also kind of curious. I don't know if I would buy it new, but I am curious about Ace Combat 8. I've been thinking about trying an Ace Combat game also. Didn't think far enough ahead to put that on my bingo board. But yeah, I've heard Zero is probably the best one, but
Always Zero.
I know.
yeah.
Strange.
But no, I thought that looked cool, and was definitely a standout. One other that was kind of like a question mark, I definitely need to see more about it, was Kimuri, which is the one that I'm blanking on her name, but she directed Ghostwire Tokyo. Ikumi Nakamura. That's my best guess of what her name is.
Yeah, Ikumi Nakamura.
She was with Tango Gameworks. But this is
Now the studio is called Unseen.
yeah, and it's like a yokai hunting game. So
There wasn't much on it though.
not much on it. Yeah, so it's kind of a question mark. But
Was that the one with the guy with the sword? It was like kind of feudal looking Japan sort of background.
that might have been Phantom Blade Zero. I mean, I think that's a China, like a feudal China game. But yeah,
You had mentioned to me kind of a fatigue for that type of game
yeah,
because it's like a lot and it's starting to all bleed together. Or what is it like? There's Wolong, Phantom Blade Zero. Technically, you say Neo, I think maybe.
yeah. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. There was another one from one of these shows called Blood Message that was also like in this
Yeah.
category.
Oh, that's the one I'm thinking. It was Blood Message.
And then Phantom Blade Zero, and there's another Black Myth game that's going to be coming out.
I mean, you can even kind of lump Onimusha in a little bit.
Yeah, the remake. I wouldn't count like the PS2 games in that category, but the remake is kind of that same vibe too, right? So
I still do think the trailer looked cool for Phantom Blade Zero.
Yeah, I mean they look cool, but it's kind of I think starting to get to a saturation point where it's just like how many of these kind of samey looking, sword fighter Edo period.
You throw Where Winds Meet in there that came out last
Mhm,
year.
It's that free to play. Right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I think overall the state of play was fine. I don't know that I was like, yeah, I'm really pumped for PlayStation.
Mhm.
And I think they shot themselves in the foot with, like Lofty, where, it just was not what people were wanting. But overall, there was some stuff that caught my eye, and
I
so
legit don't think I'll play that God of War game. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're doing. You play it when it's part of your PSN, like it's one of the monthly games.
Yeah.
I would need to see more of. I probably would not play the God of War game, but I would need to see like more of the combat and like skill play and like people actually talking about how it differs from other stuff. Because like Santa Monica is among like American studios, like American AAA studios, definitely on the high end of like melee combat game design.
Sure.
So I think there's hope for it, even with whatever problems it might have.
Now, if,
Well-
if we stick chronologically, Summer Game Fest was next in terms of
Mhm.
announcements.
Yeah, and technically speaking, I've been to two, but the first one I went to, I didn't actually get to go into the Summer Games Fest area proper because nothing was open yet. It was just basically the day before to go get your credentials, and I went to IGN Live that day with Robert, but I had to just give Robert my like meal cards and stuff because I had to go to Chicago for a conference for work the next day.
And plus, technically, those are the play days. The Summer Game Fest is the actual stage show.
So this was my actual first Summer Game Fest. And it was a very cool experience. Being able to check out all these games, being able to go to press events, which we can talk about now that the embargo has lifted as of a couple days ago. Um, I also played Rayman Legends at the Nintendo partner event. I've never really been a big Rayman fan. I remember watching Robert play it on like the N64 growing up and stuff like that. But I played it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. There were 3 stages that they allowed us to play. Like I said, I think the first one was just the first stage of the original Legends. The second one was this new dragon riding thing. It had a lot of shmup mechanics, and the point of view kept changing from behind the dragon to 2D side scrolling to once the dragon actually gets hit and he's falling from the sky back to the earth and you're actually controlling his falling. I thought that was pretty creative. And then the third one was the music based stage. Um, and it's on rails and you have to just jump to the beat of the song.
Those are my favorite stages in Legends.
It was fun.
They were so fun.
It was a lot of fun, but SGF is an interesting experience for people watching, and for just encountering other gamers. The positive aspect of it is that there were just a lot of cool people to connect with. It's like you're there with other gamers. You're there with other people who have a passion for all of this, and so just people who would run up to me because they liked my Majima Suka-Jan jacket that I was wearing, or they liked my Majima pin or plushie that I had on my purse every day. Ton of Yakuza fans that I ran into at SGF and outside of SGF. So that's cool, meeting these people that are passionate about it. Or I actually got to talk to people from RGG Studios, who like I was just kind of fangirling at them about how much I love the Yakuza series and I'm looking forward to Stranger Than Heaven, which I'll get to in a bit. Stranger Than Heaven. Um, but that was just cool. And then like them like looking at all my Majima stuff and they were like going crazy. Like, they were going crazy over it. They were like, oh my God, Majima. And that was an amazing conversation. But then you get some other people. Like at the Rayman demo, this streamer, don't know her name. I wouldn't use it anyway if I did. But she in essence couldn't really hang with the demo. It was a 20-minute demo and like I said, 3 stages. She did the first one. She couldn't beat the dragon one, so they were like, well, you want to skip ahead to the third one. She was a little frustrated, so she said okay. She couldn't beat the third one. So I'm like hyper focused and I beat the first 2. I'm on my way to beating the third. And I hear her ask the PR woman, would you mind taking some footage of me playing the game? Which is totally fine. We could do that. And she said, yeah. So the girl's just sitting next to me on the couch. I'm playing on the TV. She was playing on the Switch too. And so I'm so focused, I'm not really paying attention to her until she kind of leaned over and said, sorry, I'm pretending to play. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's okay. But then, like, I realized she's using the footage of me to pretend that she was playing, and she was holding like another controller, just like pretending to play. In retrospect, I probably would have said something if I wasn't just so intent on finishing that stage and was just so focused. I actually probably would have told the PR person, I do not want don't. Like whatever you just filmed, don't. Because I didn't give permission for my gameplay, for her to be sitting here pretending to be me. Like she's supposed to be a streamer. Like this is her whole thing, is you're supposed to be here playing a game. So that was a little weird, just like some of the
Yeah, you probably didn't need to give permission in order for her to be able to
not
film
for her to
that,
film that.
but it is weird,
Yeah.
right?
It
It
was
is
it was
very
it was
weird.
really kind of insulting. It was like she didn't even ask. It was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pass off this girl's better gameplay as mine."
Well, so we're just to be clear, Summer Game Fest, as most of you listening know, is a stage show. So it's Jeff Keighley, etc. But Playdays is the after event, which is it's press only and media only. So that's why you got some of these like streamer people in. I
Yeah.
don't think most people know what Playdays is in comparison to SGF. So like Summer Game Fest is very public facing, but the Playdays are invite only and like special area that you go to play. I don't
Yeah,
think we're supposed to
for
say where exactly, but it's in
Yeah.
LA.
for E3, the whole thing was E3. Like the
Yes.
Yeah.
whole like
Right.
4 whatever day thing was
Mhm.
E3. But Summer
Exactly.
Games Fest is just
The stage show.
the
And what's happened is Jeff Keighley's done such a good job with it that like each year it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So like compared to the first year when I went to now, this year was so big. First of all, they had Nintendo there, and
Mhm.
Nintendo has not been there in the years that I've gone. And so it was like displacing things. So like the media center was gone because Nintendo was in the media center, and then that meant Sega's area became the media center, and then Sega was in a different corner. It was super funny, but like it's just clearly getting bigger and bigger.
It is.
I kind of wonder if next year they might have to do a new facility because it was just so packed. But
Yeah, they might.
like to Angie's point, the variety of people that you see running around
Mhm.
is interesting because it's like you have people who like I see some people who I kind of recognize on sight and I can see that they're older and they're like media people and it's cool seeing them. But then there's like the younger crowd, it's the streamer crowd, it's the I don't actually really play crowd. I think Angela has a story about when I
Tomb
was
Raider?
playing Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah. So, Robert had an appointment for Tomb Raider and they let me join. I was gonna get my own, but it was gonna be complicated and he needs somebody to film him playing anyway. So it's better that we just had one. So he's playing. I'm behind him filming the footage. And they were very uh they were actually stopping anybody who was taking footage of like over the shoulder. They would stop you and check your footage to make sure that it was framed in the exact same way it needed to be for you to be able to post it later, which I thought was interesting. But with me, they were like, "Oh, this is exactly what we want it to be. Great, we have no issues." So this again, another streamer. She's sitting diagonally behind Robert to his left, and the demo started on the hour, and they said 40 minutes in. If you are not at a certain point, we're going to be more aggressive with hints because we want you to encounter the T-Rex in the demo. So this girl is playing and she's struggling. Like Robert's going at a good pace. He's just fine. And twice she's just turned around and she's just staring at his screen. And like if she needed help, I don't know why she didn't just ask for help. Like they're there to help you and they're telling you if you at a certain point you're not where you should be, we're just going to tell you where to go anyway. So there's really no shame in asking for help, but just this strangeness of like, I'm just going to sit here and stare at you because I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm also too proud to ask for help. And she was very frustrated at one point, telling them that she couldn't find this cog that you needed to find three of to move forward. Um, but the awkwardness, of just like, I kind of just wanted to look over and be like, do you need help? Like, just ask one of them for help. Like, I mean, because there's no reason for you to be sitting and staring when you're here to play your own demo. It just things like that, just some of those personalities, I'll say, that were a little odd.
But overall, let's kind of close out just talking about play days. Um, it's a great throwback to E3. I think it's probably a lot more interesting than IGN's IGN Live. They were doing it this year too. I haven't gone to the last two of them, but I have been going to SGF just because there's so much there. And a lot of variety too. I mean, this might change if it keeps getting bigger and bigger, but there's little indie games there too
Mhm.
that are really fun and unique.
I
There was one called Reverb or Return, something like that, where it's a 2D kind of puzzle platformer, and you're controlling time by moving left and right. So if you move left, time flows backwards. If you move right, it goes forwards. So you got to solve puzzles doing things like that. So that was fun because I never would have found that game otherwise. And some of the hallmarks of E3 are still there. Like if you went to E3 back in the day, the LA Convention Center was just stuffed with like displays, and like Nintendo would turn its section into Hyrule or would turn it into New Donk City. It's not quite that elaborate, but there was still like a giant robot head, cool little photo op type of things here and there. Um, and I think it speaks to why these in-person events are still important. When we start talking about the stage show in a minute, I'll discuss that because I was there for the actual show on the in the theater. But when you're surrounded by people and you're all talking about it, and then you go out to discuss it, right? It's a hell of a lot different than just a press release or here's a trailer that we put on our official X account and blah blah blah. Like all that's fine, but like when you're in a room, like again, we'll get to it, but like when Snoop Dogg showed up on the stage,
No.
the whole freaking theater lost its mind. And it's hard to uh replicate that level of excitement because everybody's there and they're all going crazy and the people that are into it and they're talking to each other. You don't think that's going to at least reflect a little bit in the coverage in how it's hyped up by the people talking about it? So
Yeah,
I
because
think that's an important thing.
I heard multiple people and then talk directly to somebody about their experience playing Stranger Than Heaven. And it was really interesting going around and hearing people saying, like overhearing somebody say it took her 9 times to try to attempt to beat the boss versus this one woman who she had run up to me on day one because she loved my Majima plushie. And I ran into her every single day of the event. And on the last day, her talking about her experience playing Stranger Than Heaven versus her husband's experience. And so that's 3 different people who are talking about their gameplay versus, like Robert said, if you were just exposed to the trailer in your house or there was a press release that you read about it. And talking, Robert had mentioned, games that he would not have been exposed to otherwise. There was a game in the Nintendo area called Armistice. It was a roguelike, and I'm not a roguelike player. That's just not my preferred genre. But it was really fun. And sitting in that room and just playing it for 20 minutes. This fantasy. They were talking about how they wanted it set in like an urban setting, so it's Paris, but it's also got these fantasy elements. It's a shooter. It's like dark urban fantasy. Very like kind of Souls like sort of environment. I would not have played that if it wasn't there. I mean, I'm not even a Turok fan. I'm obviously super familiar with Turok as a franchise, but I wouldn't have played the new one that's coming out if it wasn't in that room.
Kind of
Um,
reminded me of your Animal Well story.
yeah,
Kind of like that.
exactly. Coming across Animal Well
Mhm.
at the other at GDC a
Right.
couple years ago, and so that's I think the benefit of being invited to these like partner events and trying their games.
So shout out, that game is called Recur, the one that I was talking about, the
Mm-hmm.
time bending one, because it was really good. I want to give them credit. So
Yeah.
let's transitioning back to Summer Game Fest. So just the show. Angie's gonna have a ton to say about Stranger Than Heaven. Snoop comes on stage. So it's funny because you get to the end of that trailer and they show off Tupac. And he's got a little headband thing. Theater lost its mind. Everyone's freaking out. And so then they cut back to Jeff Keighley, and I think Keighley's the one that said, like, we have a special guest that's gonna come out. And someone from the crowd yells, "It's Tupac!" If you know nothing, now I'm not like a hip hop expert, but if you know nothing of hip hop, it's been like a legend for decades now that he's not dead, that he faked his death. And so that guy in the crowd was like, this is it.
Mhm.
This is when he finally reveals that he's not dead. I'm in Stranger Than right in Stranger Than Heaven. It was like, no, it's not Tupac. It was Snoop. Apparently, Snoop played a hand in getting him in the game. But yeah, the show, the theater show was awesome. And
Yeah, so Stranger of Heaven. Thoughts on that?
We do that one.
Stranger Than Heaven. So I've been really keeping tabs on this, and I watched the like 30-minute reveal trailer of the story and the gameplay and stuff. I've been very heavily into tracking this game. So when they showed the initial gameplay and they showed that Snoop was in it, I was immediately like, I guess. But like they incorporated him well enough that I thought that it worked.
Yeah, I think they had like Danny Trejo in one of the recent games.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is following a pattern. And like I can understand why like the allure of having him, and why to some degree it makes sense. And I'll say that when they showed how they were writing his character into Stranger Than Heaven, I was like, okay. I mean, his character actually makes sense. The guys that he's working with make sense as characters too. I just have to ignore the fact that he's being played by Snoop. But when they showed Tupac, I was like, dude, this looks so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Like he's standing there in a yukata with his fucking his headband on, his bandana on. Like what? I mean, like it's a period piece. I mean, it's just like Tom's cracking up over here.
Does he have like he's got like a stud in one nostril also?
I can't remember if he has a stud.
That's more accurate.
I like I don't think he has the stud. I mean, I'm just like, what is like Madonna gonna show up as his girlfriend too? Like I'm just, I don't know, man.
It's gonna be the AI projection. Remember when he was like on
Yeah.
stage as like a projection?
Yes.
I think it was Coachella. Or something.
Yeah,
It's
it
Coachella.
was.
It was. So, like, I don't know. It just the game is starting to feel like a manifestation of like Yokoyama's midlife crisis. I don't know. It's just
I really thought the midlife crisis was going to leave with Nagoshi. Just
well,
seeing how he carries himself, right?
I guess not.
So I'm like outside looking in, right? So
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Yakuza games and like the spin-offs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like I just feel like there's two ways to look at it. Like all of the games have some stupid ass shit.
Yeah.
Right. So if you just look at it as one of those gimmicks, like the dude wearing the diaper or whatever, in one of them,
Yeah, the guy who's
or in his underwear.
Well, there's both.
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
The Gondawara patriarch.
Yeah,
the,
but
fa-
like
the fact that
and
the
Habu.
fact that I can say there's
Yeah.
there's
both.
yeah, like that's,
Yeah.
and then like you even spoke about like you're not wanting to try that pirate
Yeah,
one because
yeah.
it's just like too silly.
It's
it
too
seems.
silly. It's gonna ruin my.
I mean, if you look at
Yeah.
it that way, you can salvage the game and
Yeah.
like still play it and enjoy it.
But I played 2, and a golden castle comes out of the ground, and Kiryu fights 2 tigers with his bare hands. So
Yeah, so there's a lot of that. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm just
Snoop and Tupac's wild.
Yeah, it was wild.
It's a weird choice. It doesn't really change how I feel about the game, big picture. To your point, like these games have stuff that you kind of have to be like, well, it is what it is. Welcome to Yakuza, right?
Yeah.
But the things that we've learned about like the concept of the game and the combat in the game seem pretty promising. Maybe the combat's gonna suck, but they're doing something interesting with it where they're mapping like your left and right hands to the shoulder buttons, and you can like dial in fight night combos.
It's like you're actually fighting. So if you catch somebody's punch with your right arm, you can swing and counter swing with your left. Like you're in an actual fight, which I think is very cool. And again, if they had introduced Tupac without his stupid bandana and he was just there in the bathhouse, like he has such a distinct face, you'd know who he was.
What if they have a toggle in the beginning of the game? Bandana or no? Bandana honor.
For the record, I think he did have the stud. If I'm,
He
if I
did, yeah.
remember.
Okay, yeah.
That's another
I
thing.
said it was lore accurate.
Yeah. That's another thing you could toggle on and off.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to take
It's like a PC mod, like
Yeah.
take into consideration the name, right?
If they announced like Thomas the Tank Engine.
Exactly.
They give me Thomas the Dank Engine. So it's stranger than heaven, right?
Yeah.
So that word strange is in there. There is something kind of fever dream quality to this game so far. I wish we had gotten the hands-on appointment with it because I would have really liked to, for one thing, just see what it was like, but also to experience the combat. I can't say I'm like super duper excited for it because I'm behind with the Yakuza series. It's technically a prequel, so I could just play it and not worry because the other games all come after. But I would say I have hype for it. I want to play it.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely getting it day one. Even if they come out with something even more ridiculous than what they already have, I'm just gonna roll with it and see what I think of it. But I am excited to see how it establishes the creation of the Tojo and all that. So Robert had mentioned Code Veronica, and we've talked about Onimusha. Um
Yeah, Veronica, I would say definitely on the wanna playlist. Why don't we talk about that one
Well, I
next?
was gonna say the press event that we got to go to,
Oh.
was what?
I just was so disappointed because we could talk about it now. I was like, yeah, we're gonna get to see some more gameplay. They didn't show us anything. They didn't even re-show the clip from Summer Game Fest. It was here's a recap of the Resident Evil
Is
series.
that 2027?
It's 2027.
Yeah, it's so
So
early.
I don't think they're
I don't like
ready.
when they do these like trailers. They're so like
Well,
teasing and
I don't think they're ready to show like the full gameplay, but I think it's gonna come out in 27 because the
How-
Requiem they showed us gameplay
That's-
and it was legit the opening of the game.
yeah,
Let's be real.
like with Persona 6.
Oh,
Like,
that
I know
we'll
what
get to that in a minute.
It's
yeah.
like what the hell? Dude?
Why do we need to see gameplay of this? You know exactly how it's gonna play. It's gonna play like Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 3
You're right,
remake,
but
right?
So
still.
we had a couple questions that we asked during the preview. So it was just the press that was in there.
Yeah.
I asked
Well, hang on.
go ahead.
So I think we should establish who was there.
Yeah, Robert.
So Yoshiaki Hirabayashi, who's the producer for the remake of Resident Evil Veronica, and other entries in the series, they flew him out from Japan, and so he was there. And press. Robert and I each had separate appointments, but they had multiple appointments throughout the day of press that could go in, and there was a Q&A session with him. It was about 20 minutes long, and if you were lucky, they got to you were called on and you got to ask questions.
chosen ones.
So Robert and I both got called on, and Robert went first. So what did you ask him again, Robert?
Well, they told me I was cute. No, I'm just kidding. I asked because I thought it was clever. I was like, so did you guys get rid of the code from Code Veronica because you want it to be Resident Evil Veronica, and then the V is like the 5 because it's the 5th game in this kind of like series of the remakes? And then he just was like, oh, haha, no. It was a very blunt no, but I think they wanted to make sure that it wasn't misconstrued because they're probably going to actually remake 5 at some point.
Right.
But they were like, no, we did not get rid of code because it's 5. Their explanation was that the remakes or the mainline entries, if they have a word in them, it's always just one word, and it's like the most important part of the game. So 7's Biohazard, 8 is Village, 9 is Requiem, and then this one, well, it's not going to be Resident Evil Code, it's Resident Evil Veronica. So that's why they did that. They
I think that's a pretty weak reason. I think Code Veronica is concise enough. But like I mentioned to Angie, I am kind of happy that it's going to have its own distinct name. Like people can talk about Code Veronica versus Veronica as two different experiences.
And I mean, then there's Code Veronica X, but anyway. And then another question that was asked during my session, might have been Angie's too, but somebody was like, can you switch between first and third person? And this one, they very specifically said there is no option for first person. I'm curious why that is. It's a different team that worked on Requiem than worked on Veronica. Veronica's team is I don't remember if it was 2, 3, 4 or 2 and 4 team. It's probably like kind of Call of Duty-ish. So I imagine it's 2 as a team, 3 was a team, 2 came back for 4, probably 3 came back for 9, and now 4 is back for Veronica. But that team's working on this. So maybe that's why we're not seeing the first person option because it's just a different dev team. But I also kind of wonder, they collect player data when you're playing these games. So I wonder if they were looking at Requiem and they were like, man, like 85% of player engagement's in third person. Like nobody picks the first person option. I really don't know, but that's what they're sticking to with this one. And then Angie got to ask her.
Yeah, so the thing I asked was very direct. I had looked up while we were talking, or while the Q&A was happening, whether Code Veronica was available on any of the other platforms, like to play now. It's available on the PlayStation and the Xbox storefronts. It's not available on Nintendo Switch Online. So that was my question, and especially since I'm there representing Nintendojo. I was very direct, and I just said like, because it's available on these other storefronts, are you going to make it available on Nintendo Switch Online? Especially because Nintendo players may not have a GameCube or $250 to spend on a copy of Code Veronica X on the aftermarket. And Hirabayashi was very straightforward and just said no. And he goes, I don't mean to be so straightforward, but just the answer is no. Now, the way I phrased it though was, are there any plans to do this? That doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be plans closer to the game's release, but as of right now, I wouldn't say that anybody should hold their breath for that game coming to Nintendo Switch Online, which I think is a little lame, especially if it's available on the other.
It was a GameCube game?
Yeah.
Yeah, so GameCube got Code Veronica X,
Mhm.
which has
Oh,
some
okay,
different
okay, okay.
content in it. But
Yeah.
I don't understand not having these games available because it's like, do you really think because somebody played Code Veronica X on Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack on their Nintendo Switch 2 that they're not going to want to play Veronica? Like, it's not going to impact it. If
Yeah.
anything, it would make you more like, oh, okay, now that's why people like Code Veronica.
Well-
I can't wait to play the new one.
Well, especially, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and absolutely Resident Evil 4, with all of the different versions that came out of that game. All those games were easily accessible when the remakes for those came out.
Mhm.
So I doubt that like they didn't take them all down from those storefronts before the remakes came out. So I'm not really sure why they would hesitate to release Code Veronica X for Nintendo Switch Online.
There's a couple ways to look at it. One is they could see it as having promotional value for the remake, which you'd think would make them put it up. The other is like they do have to put effort into porting it. And then it's probably not going to have a very long tail because once Resident Evil Veronica comes out, the number of people who would buy Code Veronica goes way down.
Mm-hmm. I do want to say I was kind of pleased because I was the only person in the room who Hirabayashi called on himself. The translator guy, he was bouncing around the room and he was frankly picking on people, choosing people to ask questions way more difficult than it needed to be. But the guy next to me asked a question. So I understand why he was hesitant to then just go to me, but like guy next to me asked something, then someone else asked something, then I raised my hand, and the translator guy is just like he's just sitting there frozen, and he's like and he's like looking around, and Hirabayashi finally just points directly at me because I'm in the second row, and he's holding his hand out towards me, and he says something to the guy in Japanese, and the guy's like, "Oh, okay, you with the yellow shirt," like. So that was very satisfying.
I think they called me because I was just this big wide object right in their direct path. There was no way of ignoring me, like the big guy in the front. So I'm definitely excited for it, Angie.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dom, what are you thinking?
Oh yeah. I
What
didn't
about you,
play the
Zack?
original.
I'm a little burnt out on the modern Resident Evils, I think.
Mm.
Not play Requiem.
I don't got to play Requiem. Yeah, I mean, it's a maybe. Depends.
Well, following that, because they didn't show us any gameplay. What they did show us was this recap video that they made specifically for the press event that talked about how and when Code Veronica and the events of that game fit into the overall Resident Evil timeline. So after that, and then after the Q&A session, they showed us live gameplay footage of Onimusha. And it looked...
Way of the Sword, is it?
You think it's Way of the Sword. And it looks really good.
This is the second year in a row Capcom has shown this off at the press event.
The guy who was doing the demo, we could tell he was trying to show off his skills because he was really good, and he was doing some cool evasive maneuvers and hardly taken any damage. It really wasn't until the last boss that they showed that he was kind of getting down to the wire in terms of his health, and he was waiting until the very last minute to heal. And I leaned into the guy next to me and I said, you can tell that this guy waited until the last possible moment to heal. And he was like, oh, yeah, he's definitely showing off.
So I think he had something to prove because when he was demoing it for us in my event, which was before Angie's,
Mhm.
he had gotten a little close to death a couple times, and I could tell he had missed some parries. So he's probably just sitting there thinking, I'm gonna get it done this time. I don't know if it was the same guy last year, but at last year's Onimusha event, the dev that was playing was intentionally not moving the camera. So like, you know how you'll usually position the third person camera so you can see where you're going?
Yeah.
Because he knows, like, he's like what's the bald guy's name in the Matrix when he's looking at the Matrix and he's telling Neo, I don't even see the Matrix anymore. I see redhead, blonde. He's like that playing where he's like, I don't even need to see where I am in the game world. I know exactly where I'm positioned and I can move without moving the camera. And that's what he was doing, just going around the entire environment like that. It was so funny.
That actually gives it more of a classic Onimusha feel, right?
Oh yeah, the
Right,
static
right,
camera.
right.
Yeah.
I'm learning that.
He was like the rebel, probably on the design team, who was like, why is the camera moving? The camera should be standing still.
Yeah, I'll be in a room, a little corridor fighting, and then like if I move like slightly, I go into a whole different camera or bugs me up, and then it's quite interesting.
Robert, do you ever hear the story of that mom told us of our great grandmother? No, our great great grandmother who went blind and didn't tell anybody.
Oh
and-
yeah.
yeah,
Like
and
she was moving around the house doing
Yeah.
everything and nobody even knew she was blind.
cooking and everything. Yeah, like that was that guy. You know, he's just like, I just know this stage so
He
well.
was blind.
Yeah.
He's just playing pure sound.
Yeah. Yeah, so Onimusha was cool. I definitely want to play that.
I'm absolutely on board with Onimusha. Like, it looks really good. The gameplay looks incredibly satisfying.
Yeah,
The enemies. Oh, did you? Your preview showed you the creatures in the water, right? Those.
Oh yeah, the
So-
scary women.
Yes. So like the women floating in the water, they're like these, very sexy looking women floating, and you can see massive cleavage as they're going along. And it's an actual like Japanese folklore like kappa, demon thing, where it comes out of the water and it's like it's fake. So it's like that woman in her bust and she's attached to the head of this giant frog monster.
It's like a giant freaky fish. So like floating in the water, I actually think they're topless, but you just see the head and her bosom and a little bit of like her upper abdomen, and they're just floating in the water and they have like the long black hair, and then they jump out, and when the fish thing is standing, her boobs are actually basically like the top of his head, almost like its eyes, and then it's got this just grotesque body. They were really creepy and gross.
It was incredibly creative, and
Yeah.
a lot of the enemies were like that. I forget its name, but there's a boss that he fights that's covered in, I think they're ribbons. What's it called? The things they were like tags almost. They're paper.
Oh,
Paper
the like the charms that like
Yes.
the
They're like
Yeah.
paper charms,
Mhm,
basically.
yeah.
They're covering the creature's body, and as you're fighting, they get bloodier and bloodier. They also burn, so they become singed.
Mhm.
Like Onimusha is really impressive.
Yeah.
This is gonna be like a banner year for Capcom because you've got Requiem, you've got, like I said, Monster Hunter, you have Pragmata, and then you have Onimusha coming out, and that game's great. And then you have Street Fighter 6 with everything going on with that. That's still relevant and
Oh yeah,
super good.
Tifa.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Tifa. I'm looking forward to Tifa and not the other three fighters. I was just like, boo, boo, boo. Oh, okay. That like makes up for all of it.
Yeah. Robert and I were talking about that, and Robert was saying how this is an opportunity for them to bring back these classic fighters that everybody wants that are still not in 6, and instead they choose to introduce these again like new fighters. And like Tifa's cool, but like, would you prefer Tifa or would you prefer a classic fighter? It's like, at least if you're gonna throw her in, have 3 other classic fighters, or maybe 2 classic and 1 new.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. Like, give us 2 classics, maybe 1 new, and then Tifa as a guest fighter. That's fine. But anyway, Dom, what did you think of Onimusha, the new one?
Yeah, I've seen some of the trailers. I know there's like a demo. I'm not gonna play the demo, but I think the game looks great, and it makes me want to play the OG ones. So that's what I'm working on. Yeah, I will definitely play it.
Yes,
Capcom is on a crazy run, though.
They are on a crazy run. Zach, what were your thoughts on the new Onimusha that's coming out?
Yeah, I have been kind of bored by Capcom lately, honestly. Onimusha, I have my doubts about. I've been paying attention to like preview coverage, and it seemed like the demo coverage, I should say, and the demo has been really surprisingly easy with kind of passive enemies. So if that's how the game ends up being, I'm probably gonna skip it.
I did notice they were doing. I'm not gonna remember it. It's a phrase they use for. I think it was like Japanese stage performances of fights, where it's like one fighter comes in at a time. When the main character was fighting, I noticed that the enemies were kind of waiting. You know, it's like they weren't
Mhm.
dogpiling. It's like, they'd be dogpiling him. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I think we'll have to see when
Yeah, at that point, it's like it's not even a fight with multiple enemies, right? It's just
like a
a
line.
queue. Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
line of enemies you're waiting to fight.
Uh, I think the other just enormous announcement from SGF was Final Fantasy VII Revelation.
Mhm.
Man, that was the last one during the stage show, and again, the crowd went nuts. And it was super funny because they had people on stage. I think it was the director of the game, and then what's that actor I told you Angie was on there? He plays oh, who's the guy that plays Ganon in Tears of the Kingdom?
Oh, you're talking about Matt Mercer?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm pretty sure that was who was on stage.
Mhm.
And so they kept showing stuff, right? And like I'm sitting in the crowd, I'm like, maybe I'll be the next person to yell out like the Tupac guy because like they're showing us everything and not saying when. And I'm like, I swear to God, if they end this and don't at least give us a year, that's gonna be so annoying. But at the end, they finally were like, and it comes out spring 2027. I was a little disappointed because like, that's like a whole year to wait, but it looks really far along in development.
Mhm.
Um,
Vincent's gameplay looked amazing. That is obviously what I have been waiting for years now. And when I saw it, I was like, this looks so cool. And I know Zach's probably not impressed, but
I mean,
I
I thought it looked fine. I mean, he was like a ranged attacker, and he's got like his beast mode stuff going
I
on,
thought it was
right?
so cool that when he was like, basic says something along the lines of like, I'm not going back in my coffin until Sephiroth goes in his. I was like,
But
oh, that's bad.
I feel like I don't know. I'm more curious to see more of what Sid's gameplay looks like.
Mm-hmm,
Because I think Vincent's role as like a ranged attacker who goes into a melee mode was kind of obvious.
mm-hmm,
Um,
kind of Yuffie-ish.
but Sid, I don't know exactly
mm-hmm.
what to make of how he works.
Yeah.
I I don't think there's like a ton to go off of in order for me to get excited about Revelation based on the trailer presentation. Like I was already excited for it. It was already like the game that was like number one for me to buy next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to find out more about the job system stuff they've layered into the game. They showed off like Cloud being a warrior and Tifa being, I think, a black mage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you are unaware, they have new outfits that they can put on. It's called the fits system. And so each fit like it's an actual cosmetic upgrade, so like they have a different look, but then it gives you abilities that are kind of like well, they're very much supposed to be reminiscent of the job system from previous Final Fantasies. So like Zach said, you have a black mage, you have a warrior. So that's like another layer that's being added to the combat system, which has just gotten more and more intricate yet accessible as time has gone by. Because when you play remake, you switch between each character, and it's really interesting and fun. But then you get into rebirth, and you have like the synergy attacks and like just the different combos you can do with different characters. The skill trees based on do you know that you really like to have one character paired with another because you can build the skill tree towards that. So like you're getting all of that presumably carrying over into Revelation, and you're going to throw in the new abilities with the fifth system. So I think that has a lot of promise.
Yeah. Real quick, Robert, what did you think of Tomb Raider? Because like I was watching you play,
Oh,
but I couldn't hear it. I could just see it.
well, let's get through these. We can do that one next. But
Okay.
anyone else on what about you, Don, for Revelation?
Yeah, I gotta play the first two, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, I'll get there.
so yeah, that's definitely on there. So Legacy of Atlantis, again for the audience if you don't know, it's a remake of the first game. It's like I think the third remake of the first game, something like that. It was fun. It was another one where I had the reaction. I was like, "Oh, it's Unreal Engine again." But it looks really pretty. Like they seem to be going all out in terms of trying to make it impressive visually. There was a view at the top of like a mountain that was like really impressive that I remember during the playthrough. It starts you out in front of kind of a Aztec looking temple thing, and you have 2 cogs that you need to get into this machinery so you can open like a gate. And so the first cog's pretty easy to find. So Laura has uh this grapple that she can use. I don't know if she's ever had a grapple in previous games. Um, it was fine for this. You know, it was useful. It was just being used to pull things in the environment. I didn't experience anything in the combat where she could use it on an opponent. So, just as it was used in that application, I thought it was great. Um, she has a scanner that you can use though, and I really had no idea why that was like included. Like, she kind of just points it. It looks like something that you would scan groceries with, like at a Target. And I never really used it for anything during the demo. There might have been one scripted moment where I used it, but I don't even remember that. So I don't know how necessary that is. And then there's a crafting system. Now, in practice, maybe it'll be better in the, you know, the full game, but in the chunk that I played, I was like, why do I really need to craft anything? I mean, uh yeah, I can't remember, Angie. Did they tell us if this is open world or is it stage based?
I don't think they even addressed it.
Well, let's say it's not open world. If it's stage based, it especially kind of felt like an unnecessary addition because it's like, well, how much am I really going to need to craft in just like one section of the game?
Mm-hmm.
I did end up making a healing item, but I think the game might have glitched on me because even though I needed health, it wouldn't let me use it. So that was a little disappointing. But in terms of the actual exploring, it was very satisfying. And they had the decency to not paint anything yellow when I was climbing.
You
But they-
own and have played the original Tomb Raider, at least part of it, right?
Yeah, I've played through it a little bit.
How would you compare the two?
Like the original? Oh, I mean, it doesn't have the tank controls. It's way more intricate looking. I will say that it wasn't just like bleeding go here, go there at me. And I don't think Laura was talking to herself either. Like
So-
you guys were complaining about. You're just going through the stage, and for the most part, you're just kind of left to your own devices to figure out what you're doing. And in fact, the demo they had us play didn't have a tutorial. They had the buttons mapped out, and you could look at those controls. But otherwise, you were just supposed to kind of explore, and that's what it felt like I was doing.
They did have some white chalk though, because the
Oh yeah, well they'll have to show you
y-
something.
yeah, the Lolita girl who was staring at your screen when she was lost, he was telling her she didn't know where to climb, and he was like, "See this white chalk here? It's showing you where to climb."
I wonder if in the final build it's yellow. and
Yeah.
it's just because of her.
Yes.
They're like she didn't know because the chalk wasn't yellow.
She's the new DSP.
But anyway, so you eventually get to the top of like this complicated like water network that's there, and you get that final cog. I did have one kind of bad glitch where I broke free the final cog, and when I fell into the water, the game just instantly depleted my oxygen. Like I went to like no oxygen, and the screen was gray. And so I'm like, oh, what the hell happened? Like I didn't get hurt, and so I was floating. And as I'm trying to, get out of the water, I just died. I was like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. But other than that, it was really good. I will say though, I felt a little bad because the team was like, oh, you got to get to the second part because we want you to see the dinosaur. Now you got to see the T-Rex. And it's like, okay, I got to the T-Rex part. You first fight some raptors, and they're an interesting take on dinosaurs because they have like feathers kind of on them. I was like, oh, that's cool, something different. The fight with the raptors was pretty good, but when the T-Rex showed up, that was the least impressive part of it because it just felt kind of slow and really scripted. Like it didn't really truly feel like I was in danger as long as I was going through the flow of where it clearly wanted me to go. So I was like, that's kind of lame. Like the T-Rex should really be making you like, crap your pants. And instead I was just like, as long as I'm on the path, I know he won't get me. And he didn't get me. And then it ended.
He was basically just a set piece.
Yeah, too much of a set piece. It's like something in a pinball machine. But it was good. I actually have high hopes for it. There was restraints in what I saw. For one thing, Laura looked like Laura. She didn't have the big square jaw. She looked totally capable, but was also sexy. In terms of what her attitude's gonna be, that's where I worry a little bit, because it's like I don't want to hear some giant lesson on ethics while she's raiding the tomb. That's
Mhm.
not why I'm playing this, right? It's like, you want to talk about that stuff at a UN meeting, and there's some big stone thing you found in the desert somewhere, and you want to make sure it gets where it needs to. That's all fine. But I'm playing Tomb Raider. I'm not here for a lesson. You aren't gonna teach me anything. If they can maintain what they did in this demo, I totally want to play Legacy of Atlantis. I think it looks good so far.
Yeah, at least just watching visually, it was really beautiful. Very beautiful game. I think the last thing we'll talk about with with Playdays before we move on is Robert and I got to try Pico Park, the Sonic Pico Park. Sega is describing it as their indie game, which I think is an interesting description and not accurate, but whatever. So we got to try it. It's a competitive game. Up to 8 people can play at once. And it's basically just getting from point A to point B, cooperating with each other. And you're playing as Sonic characters and I think Pico Park characters, they said. When we did the demo, it was 4 of us playing and it was just the Sonic characters. Um, and it's, there were like there were 8 demo stages that we were given to try. They were not very complicated because they were really just tutorials, like showing you what you can do, introducing you to the mechanics. You can stack on top of each other. The flying characters, Tails and Knuckles, can carry characters across chasms. At some point, you might be tethered together, and then you have to figure out, hey, there's a key that's floating over this chasm. How do we get that key? Oh, well, somebody has to dangle from the ledge above it, and that took some figuring out. It's very cute. It's like not the most complicated thing in the world. Again, it's not an indie game, but it was pretty adorable. Yeah.
I had fun with it myself. I'm not big on co-op games, like really kind of any
Yeah.
co-op games. Uh, but if you were playing that with like friends, I could see it being pretty entertaining. It supports up to 8 people, which is impressive. We only got to play with 4.
That's what I was just saying.
I think before we close it out though, just a couple shout outs. Alien Isolation 2. Anybody have any interest in that one?
Not so much.
I'm interested in it just because I've heard so many good things about the first game, and particularly like the AI of the xenomorph, where it's like it'll learn your behaviors, which is creepy. So I hope the second one is good, and I know fans have been like looking forward to it, so I thought that was worth a shout out. The Monster Hunter Wilds expansion, for like I have 2 huge Monster Hunter friends, hi Nick and Christina. I know everyone's looking forward to that. Anybody? I don't think anyone here plays Monster Hunter, huh?
I started Wilds is the
Mhm.
most recent, right?
Yeah, it's the most recent
I
one.
bought World but have not started it.
Well, Wilds, like I got major like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild vibes from specifically Tears of the Kingdom with like the air stuff.
Oh, I have fought both Rathalos and Arkveld in Final Fantasy 14. So
Oh,
there's
see,
my
there you
Monster
go.
Hunter cred.
That's right. And I think the last one from Summer Game Fest that I'd like to shout out would be the Cuphead announcements. So Cuphead 2 or whatever they're going to call it, we didn't see anything from it. But Mighty Cuphead Adventure, that looked pretty cool. And like, I don't know if anyone noticed, but it is a legit Master System game. They're going to sell a cartridge. Like you'll actually be able to plug it into a Sega Master System and play it. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. But it's going to be presumably on everything. We'll get to that because the Xbox showcase is the next thing we're talking about.
I
but
couldn't tell from the Mighty Cuphead Adventure trailer whether I thought it was going to be very good or not.
I thought the pixel art at least looked really pretty.
Yeah, sure. No, but there was plenty more in Summer Games Fest actually. I don't know if
I have
Yeah,
like
go
2 or
ahead.
3 things.
Yeah. Anyone have any thoughts about like Gen Atlas, the new Ueda game?
Mm-mm.
I've heard of it, but
Yeah. So, the guy made like Last Guardian and Shadow of the Colossus. He's got a new game out.
Oh, did he?
Yes. That
yeah,
one.
yeah, with like
Yes.
a giant robot.
Zack, yes.
Yeah. It's hard to tell exactly what the game's going to be like from what was shown, except it's got a giant robot and some gunplay.
Yeah,
But-
that there wasn't much shown, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Okay.
I think the big robot head at the Playdays facility was from that, if I'm correct.
But that dude has made so few games, right? This is
Mhm.
like his 4th game since I think Eco was like 2002. Like it's
Well, Last Guardian.
yeah. No, I'm saying like Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, Last Guardian, and now this, and that's it. And over the past like 23 years,
Nice resume.
it's a good resume.
Mhm.
But just like having a new announcement from him is significant on its own. 1666 Amsterdam. I'm happy to see that's actually going to exist. That's from, I might mess up his name, Patrice Desilets, who was the core creator behind Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 and left Ubisoft before Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Was this the vampire game?
No, this is a different one.
Okay.
This is like the Dutch witch game.
The witches and the cats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, like hard to tell exactly from the trailer, but that guy's resume is kind of makes me kind of interested in it because Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 care a lot more about the concept and like big ideas than the rest of the Assassin's Creed games do. So knowing that, I'm kind of interested to see how that shapes up.
Okay, that gives me a little more hope for it because when I saw it, I wasn't big on that trailer, especially with the cats. But the pedigree,
Yeah.
but would make me reconsider.
Not much to say about, but I woke up for a Gundam Rogue Orbit. I've never played a Gundam game. I've never been into Gundam, but just like
That animation was good.
it's
They didn't
super
show no
sick,
game.
right? No. So like tempering my expectations, Namco Bandai Gundam game like could be crap, right? But it got on my radar. Robert, you got to have some kind of reaction to Last Ronin.
Oh, I completely forgot that. Yeah. So that was another one in the theater. There were key moments where people lost their minds. And I was pleasantly surprised at how many people were going crazy over Last Ronin. So,
because that got canceled, right? Didn't
well, what
it? It was like
happened
a different dev had it.
Well, I don't know if the game got canceled. I know that they canceled the movie. I have no idea if it'll be good because the Platinum game that came out already for the Turtles like years ago, I don't think that got very good reviews. But maybe they learn from their mistakes and this will be awesome. I don't know. So I have high hopes for it because the Last Ronin story is like it's an 8 out of 10. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned earlier, Blood of the Dawnwalker. I am looking forward to that one. It's notably from some key people that used to be at CDPR and worked on Witcher 3. So that pedigree suggests to me that it could end up being good. What we know about it so far is basically just that you play as a vampire, but the pedigree is enough to make me interested in it.
That was revealed a little bit ago, right?
It was. We got like some new trailer information.
Yeah.
How
you feeling about? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, what were you gonna say?
Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah,
because you liked the first one.
I did like the first one. I want to see more of a hook for Lords of the Fallen 2. Because it looks good, but it also looks kind of generic. And I know you could say that about the first one too, but the first one had like the Umbral Realm as like a really interesting hook, and that was a lot of what made it interesting.
That is coming back for the sequel as far as I know.
That's good.
Mm.
That's good. And then the last thing I have on my list that I feel we got to at least mention is the Stellar Blade sequel also.
Yeah, that was a cool reveal. I was like sitting in the theater thinking, "Oh, this looks very cyberpunk," and then it turns out it's like, well, it's a cyberpunk, but it's it's the Stellar Blade sequel. It's like, oh, okay.
The hand-to-hand combat, right? That's kind of like what they emphasize.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be pretty damn
beat
good.
the crap out of everybody. Like, I thought it looked promising.
You like Tifa in the Final Fantasy remakes, right? That's like your favorite.
She plays fantastically in remake and in Rebirth especially.
So I just imagine it, kind of
one
hopes,
similar, right? Like the worry is that like, I definitely had problems about like the balance and design of Stellar Blade, especially when it came to the bosses. But if they learn their lessons, I would love to see another good player in like 3D melee action space. So at least paying attention to it.
You hit all the ones I was going to.
Okay.
All right. So I think next up chronologically is Xbox Games Fest. And it was a special one because it was, what, the 20th anniversary?
I think so. Dom, why don't you lead us on this one? Because I always think of you as our Xbox guy.
Let me just pull it up real quick.
Okay.
Because for some reason, the link I sent combined.
Oh.
What's it called?
The
showcases.
The showcases. It's okay.
But yeah, I mean, they started off with Gears, so we all talked about Gears, but E-Day looks really good.
It's weird to see Marcus Phoenix in normal clothes. That was my like immediate feeling with the trailer.
Shaped the way that he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but what was it? Was it 20th or 25th anniversary?
For Gears?
No, for Xbox.
Oh, 25th.
25th anniversary. So
yeah.
That's crazy. 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know about the exclusivity thing, and I don't understand it. And my thing is, how can you say that and still release it on PC? It's like,
Well, here's their
you know?
thinking, right? So Xbox, just a little bit of backstory. They have a new CEO, right? So they got rid of Phil Spencer, or he retired, whatever. He was aggressively retired. You have Asha Sharma, who's the new CEO. Her actual things she's doing are showing at least a little bit of progress, right? So some of it's little, like they were like, our emails are gonna say Xbox at the end. So like if you got her email, it would be a Sharma at xbox.com. So it's like an identity branding thing. Everything's in caps now for Xbox. But there was other stuff too. They cut the price of Game Pass. Did you see that, Dom?
That was a little bit ago.
Yeah, so
yeah.
no more $29.99. It's
Yeah.
$22.99. Now it's still overpriced as far as I'm concerned, but it's a far cry from $30 a month. And they're seeing yields from it. She said that they're actually getting more engagement and retention, so that's good. I believe I got to double check this. I've been like not reading the article, even though it's popping up. I think she pissed off Sony because during the state of play, I think they wanted to show off Halo, and I think Xbox told them we don't want you to show Halo because like even though it's coming to PS5, they've been doing internal talks about exclusivity. So we've talked about it here, which is it doesn't make sense as far as I'm concerned that you're putting all your freaking great properties and just saying it's here and it's there and it's here and it's like, so then why do I buy an Xbox? Like,
Well,
what's the point?
There's no keeping it off of PC realistically if Project Helix is happening because that's going
That's
to be
true. That's true.
So that's what they're doing. Is as far as I can tell, they're gonna let Halo. It's too late. It's gonna be on PS5, and then they got that remake of the first Gears of War. But what they're basically
And
doing,
Fable.
yeah. And then that one guy Booty was talking about this too. He's their chief creative officer, I believe. They're saying, look, the multiplayer stuff, Minecraft, Call of Duty, that's gonna be multi-platform. That's not going anywhere. But the single player stuff, the stuff that, could drive people to Xbox, that's where we're going to have conversations. So maybe Cuphead 2, you're like, it's so liked by everyone and we've already put it on Switch and I think it's on PlayStation 5, I don't know. Maybe everyone gets to have Cuphead 2. But E-Day, they're saying, they're like, you know what? This is a major first party release. We're going away from the bullshit with 4 and 5. It's back to that core team that everybody loves, right? It's like, I want to play
Dom
Marcus
and
Phoenix.
Marcus, yeah.
Yes. So that was the message, I think, here, was you're getting some exclusives and they're staying exclusive, including E-Day, which is smart.
Isn't Cuphead like developed, published, and owned by MDHR?
I don't know. I just know that it was an Xbox exclusive.
It was an Xbox exclusive. I think that was like a tactical decision on MDHR's part, probably because of the deal they got from them.
Then.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good then. That means everyone will get it. But
I get your point.
Gears of War and all that.
But yeah, you brought what I was gonna say. Like they got back to like what makes the series great. I mean, like 4 and 5 wasn't so much. It was like you're fighting robots and stuff a lot of the time, and like we missed that gore and the grid and all that stuff. So I'm excited for it. The trailer they showed, like the sliding and like the new movement they added is really good. And like they did a deep dive on it and like they're talking about like the motion capture they did on it. It looks pretty legit. Like it really, really looks nice. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, Gears has never really been my thing, but it looked good. It looked good.
It did.
What about the 25th anniversary Series X, Dom?
It really looks cool.
Oh my
Man.
God.
Is
Like,
that the clear green one?
yes. Like, I don't know if Asha Sharma had anything to do with that, but I'm like, see, like, it's little things like this that matter to like your hardcore fat nerd gamer like me. Or I'm just sitting and I'm like, oh, clear plastic. And it's green. It's exactly the same as that old school clear green Xbox that you could buy. I will take one. Like, that's what you need. Like, you want people excited. And that's the other thing too, though, is it's like, so I'm going to go buy the big clear green, awesome Xbox 25th anniversary Series X. Give me something to play on it. Give me something I can't play anywhere else. That's the whole point. Like, I don't want to play, something that I can be shared across every platform. It's like, give me something that's just Xbox. And yeah, if it's on PC, who gives a shit? That's fine. It's Xbox,
Yeah.
You still need an Xbox if you want to play the legit version of Ninja Gaiden 2.
See, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. And the 25th anniversary one has a drive in it, by the way. It has a disc drive.
The clear plastic is that is directly appealing to the millennial sensibility
Mhm.
because there's all sorts of memes and stuff about the age of clear plastic. You know, the N64s and the iMacs and other technology at the time that was in clear colored plastic. So yeah, it's definitely trying to cater to our age group.
Running through some of this, and since we're off of gears, we all know about Halo already. I think we've
Mm.
already talked about Halo. What'd you guys think of that trailer? Like the updated?
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited by the idea of like the new missions they're adding to it.
Mhm.
Just because like fundamentally, I've played all the like core Halo
Right,
games.
right. Me too.
They're all fun.
They are
Like
all
I
very
can
good.
I can have like my favorites of them. I can like point to like flaws that individual games have, but the Halo like fundamentally has such a good combat balance because they've come up with enough interesting complex AI archetypes to fight against that it's just always good.
Mhm.
And just like yeah, fighting new covenant levels is like legitimately I got excited at that prospect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
fair.
definitely on the
It looks
radar.
beautiful. I mean, the art style looks great. Like it's another one of those like, do we need like a true remake? Because they did the anniversary of what 1, 2. They haven't done touch 3, but
Yeah.
they've done like touch ups and remasters basically.
Yeah, I will say I was totally tuned out on this until they announced they were making new levels for
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It
just
looks good
a
though.
brief aside, Star Fox is coming to Switch. It's like it's a remake of Star Fox 64, but Star Fox 64 is a remake of Star Fox, like the original.
Yeah.
So we have technically had, I think it's 5 remakes now
5
of just Star Fox.
Right. Right.
Well, this one is the second remake mechanically of Star Fox 64. And Star Fox 0 and the original Star Fox are also telling the same story, right?
Mm.
But like even at a more stringent level, this is the second full remake of Star Fox 64. Yeah.
Sorry, Dom, go ahead.
No, we're good. And then I love the Plague Tale, the 2 Plague Tale games. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm excited for Resonance. I don't really know much about it. I kind of didn't want to get like I don't want to be spoiled by a lot of it. So like if it's a game I know I'm gonna play, I just caught a glimpse, here and there.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that one?
I don't think that one's on my radar.
Mm.
What about Spyro? I was excited for A Realm Beyond.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
been
mean,
years.
it has been.
I think it's been 20 years since the last true just Spyro game. Not Skylanders, not Reignited Trilogy, just like a new Spyro adventure was, I think, '06.
Yeah.
This stuff is so weird because, like, at that time scale, obviously none of the staff is the same, right? Like, it's completely different.
I don't
right?
know. Well, it's Toys for Bob, and I can't remember who the original Spyro developed. Well, I know it's Activision, but I do appreciate though that Toys for Bob is getting to work on it because they split away from Microsoft and formed their own studio, so they basically wouldn't get shuttered. They're like, no, we want to keep making games. We're just gonna go on our own. And then I guess Microsoft was like, well, let them develop it then. Even though it's not technically in house, they made the Reignited trilogy, and
Mhm.
the Reignited trilogy is really fun.
Yeah.
My
It is good.
my ex Katie, shout out to Katie. She loves Spyro. She loved the Reignited trilogy, and so if it's anything like those remakes, you're good.
Mhm.
It looks like they might be introducing an open world to it of some kind, which I mean that could work. I mean Spyro's kind of sort of open world.
like a hub.
You have like a hub,
Yeah.
right? So it'll probably be fine. So I was excited with that.
The other console exclusive was that Clockwork Revolution game. It's interesting. It kind of looks like those.
Yeah, what is that one about?
It's hard to tell, but it's just kind of. It reminded me of those. I'm drawing a blank, but the games, not Thief. Damn it, I forgot the name of the games.
Deus Ex?
No, I forgot. It'll come back to me.
All right.
Yeah, but I know it's like a first person kind of interesting.
Oh, this is In Exile. That's interesting. In Exile is one of the like so after the original Infinity Engine games back, in the like at the turn of the millennium, when it was like BioWare and Black Isle making those classic games like Baldur's Gate and so forth. In Exile is one of those Southern California studios that kind of like followed on from the dissolution of Black Isle, same as Obsidian. Um, in Exile that had more recently been making like the Bard's Tale games and the Wasteland games. So like CRPG style stuff. And this is their first action RPG. The same way that like Avowed was the first one, or I guess Outer Wilds was the first one for Obsidian. You know.
Gotcha. I was thinking of Dishonored, by the way.
Oh,
That's
okay.
kind of what it
Yeah.
reminded me of from like watching the trailer.
Okay.
And then obviously the Persona games. That's pretty much
Mm.
what I got.
Yeah, the Persona games, that was cool, but man, come on, with 6. It's like, first of all,
crazy.
I think they've leaked like a decent chunk of at least the visuals for it so far. So it's like, come on, get over yourself. Just show the main characters, show someone running, have them running in Tokyo. We know that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be something.
Yeah.
But just what they did was so underwhelming.
Yeah.
It's like we already know Persona 6 is on the way. It's like, so after years of waiting, it's like freaking Persona
P6.
5. That was it. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, man. But
Cap-
hopefully it'll be good. The thing is, though, they are in a corner because 5 was just like a watershed moment for the series, right? It's like considered one of the best games ever. And I still haven't beaten it, but I've put like a lot of hours into Persona 5, and it's super fun. It has a really interesting loop, and it's like, where do you go from here? It's like, you don't want to just totally rip off Persona 5, but Persona 5 was so impactful. It's like, I feel like you got to kind of do something similar, unless you just really came up with something great, where you're like, you guys love Persona 5, but we're going to knock your socks off with 6.
Yeah.
But fingers crossed. I hope it's good.
They
Meta
really-
4 was good.
They really did not rush it, did they? Like
No, the
yeah.
original was a PS4 game, like just a
Yeah.
straight up PS4.
It was like
game.
2015, something like that. Yeah.
It's been a
But I
long
mean,
time.
but the same team made Metaphor. Right?
Yeah.
I think so, and
So
it feels
they
very
kinda like-
Persona-y, and it's good.
Yeah.
And they already
I
did
started
they
playing
also did like the remake or remaster of 3.
Reload was awesome.
And now they're doing 4
Revival,
also.
And then I'm gonna take a guess that you're not too excited about Castlevania because it's 2.5D.
It's not because it's 2.5D. It just does not look to me like a Castlevania game.
Yeah, I didn't get. Yeah, but it still looks cool. I think I'll still play it. But yeah, and then was Wolong 2 Xbox?
Yeah, that was from the Xbox
Got it,
showcase.
got it.
That was, there were other games that got coverage during these 4 events that I was really excited about, but for like a net new announcement, Wolong took the cake for me.
For sure.
So is that it for Xbox?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to the Nintendo Direct, and of course, it'd be stupid not to do the Nintendo Direct the next week. I mean, like everyone else just went in order, and then you get to Nintendo. Nintendo, I'm torn on it. Like, I saw a poll where people were going through like, what did you think was the best? SGF got the call on the website I saw, where they're like, SGF had the best presentation, and then Nintendo was second. I mean, I think the first we should just get out of the way, right?
I think we should save that for the end.
Save that one for the end. All
Yeah.
right. So, you had my personal second favorite was Nintendo Switch Sports Resort.
It looks good.
Oh, I was so excited when I saw that.
Yeah.
That was like the island and then the
Yeah.
jet ski, and I was just like, oh, and it doesn't come out till October. I'm like, I want to play this during summer vacation. Why can't you give it to me now? Give us a demo.
Yeah.
Just give me a jet ski demo, and I'll be good for 4 months or whatever.
Right.
For better or worse, most of what I was interested in was like remakes or ports of other stuff. With the one exception being an expansion for Dragon's Dogma 2.
And that's coming to everything. But
Did you play Dragon Dogma on Switch?
No,
Dragon Dogma 2.
but the expansion's coming to everything.
Right.
So
So 2 did not come to Switch. It came to everything else. And so what they're doing is they're launching it with the expansion on
Got it,
Switch
got
2 along with every other platform.
I am impressed by Switch 2's ability to do all these ports.
to like keep up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe just to kind of run through some of them. Like, there was a lot of ports.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 5, for whatever reason, is coming to Switch 2.
Onimusha.
Onimusha, I was happy
I
to hear
know.
that was coming day and date.
But Capcom is messing with Switch 2,
Well,
at least
yeah.
so far, you know.
they have a very strong relationship. And when we were at the press event, I was thinking to myself, because they kept emphasizing, and they emphasized more than once, like, we're at Playdays rather, that, Code Veronica is coming to all consoles, including Switch. And I was like, I wonder if part of the reason why we're here, like why we got invited, wasn't just for that. I wonder if they're going to say later that Onimusha is coming to Switch 2. And then, like, 2 days later, whatever, it's like, yeah, it is coming to Switch 2.
It's impressive, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It really has impressed me.
Well, I was like, well, it's built in the RE engine, and like, it doesn't
Yeah.
look that much different from like Requiem, and
Requiem
like
or
so Hyrule couldn't
Pragmata.
run, right?
You play Pragmata on Switch too.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
and I'm telling you, man, like these RE engine ports, they run really well on Switch too. It's like not much of a noticeable difference in terms of like just quality of the experience. There was the Stellar Blade port that's coming. That was cool to hear.
Metaphor.
Metaphor's coming to Switch too. That was another happy surprise to hear. This is older, but you know, Modern Warfare 4 is coming to Switch too, so that's pretty cool.
Lies of P.
Liza
Yeah,
P,
Liza P.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's a complete edition, so you get all of the DLC.
Yeah, you're right. The ports was there was a lot of them.
And then I guess it's technically a port, but there's probably going to be new content. But the Muramasa announcement that they're bringing the Vita game to Switch 2.
This was one of the most exciting for me.
Same. Oh, dude,
Like I've considered playing Muramasa on its own, but also like this is the first Vanillaware game to get a port to PC. Which is great because we've never had a PC port of Dragon's Crown, Unicorn Overlord, 13 Sentinels, Odin Sphere, like none of that. And like my impression has always been that the guy who runs Vanillaware just did not want these on PC because he was afraid of people like digging into the files and like learning, I think, their animation techniques, things like that. So if that's no longer the case, that's actually very exciting because Vanillaware was like next to like Nintendo itself. Vanillaware was like maybe the biggest outstanding developer that just had none of their games on PC.
Yeah, there were a lot of these ports, especially where I was watching the direct and I was like, oh wow, that's cool. But when I saw Muramasa, that was one of the only things where I actually exclaimed, and I was like, oh no way, because I loved Muramasa on the Wii. I cherish my copy, and I've been meaning to go back and replay that game because it's been at minimum a decade, but I think way more than that since I played that game.
So you're more hyped for that than Jujutsu Kaisen? Rumble?
Yeah,
You mean to tell me?
I'd say so.
I was happy that, you know, the attention to detail, right? I mean, Vanillaware is such high quality in terms of what they make, but it's like, oh, cool, it's the Wii game. It's like, well, no, it's technically not the Wii game. It's the PS Vita game, which is the Wii game, but with more content. And by the way, this version's going to have, you know, another new localization, and there's going to be voice acting and blah, blah, blah. So that was pretty cool to see. I think the other big one in terms of ports was the Kingdom Hearts games. So you're none of that cloud crap.
Right.
It's like all three plus, you know, I mean, it's everything. It's the entire series is coming to Switch 2. And then you're getting 4. So that's kind of cool. You get all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking that I would play Splatoon, the new one.
Oh,
But the trailer kind of like I wasn't impressed.
Did you watch any of the Treehouse Live?
I didn't watch the Treehouse, so
Okay.
yeah, maybe I should give that.
Yeah.
But like the trailer, the stuff they showed off,
Uh-huh.
I was just kind of like the stuff you summon to help you, like, you know, the drones and stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's cool that it's a single player, just like adventure game. So that I might still play it. So.
Well, you know, Splatoon's fascinating because all 3 of the games have a single player campaign, including the first one, I think. And they're fine. You know, they're fun, but it's definitely not like the focus. So to transition it to be the focus, we just have to see if it works out. But,
You're right.
you know, it could be fun.
You excited for Fire Emblem?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, Fire Emblem peaked with Awakening. I think it really did.
3DS one, right?
Like, yeah, that's the one that put it like on the map properly. But then everything after I just haven't been as excited for. But you know, this one looks cool. Looks like there's 4 paths. I mean, they bust their asses to make these Fire Emblem games, so I'm gonna give it a shot. I think it'll be good. I do think some of these are ports, right? Like Kingdom Hearts a port, but a lot of this is also just parody, you know? So it's like, hey, it's getting Kingdom Hearts 4, which is coming to everything else. It's getting Call of Duty. It's getting Onimusha. It's getting Veronica's coming, right? Revelation's coming. I'm loving this little period we're in because it's going to end. You know, once PS6 and Project Helix come out, you're going to not see as many of these day and date games.
Yeah,
I
in
think.
like 4 or 5 years or whatever.
Yeah, but you know, for now it's really fun and it kind of feels old school. Like it almost is. The last time we had anything really like this was the GameCube era, because the Wii era there was the same games, but they were Wii versions. Right? They
Yeah.
always had motion controls or whatever. But in terms of its basically the same game from console to console. It was like back in the GameCube era. So
Yeah, that's true.
it's cool. But like in terms of the newer stuff, I mean, more ports, right? You have the Switch 2 editions of all the Xenoblade games. So the whole series is on Switch 2, which is cool. I just hope it doesn't have the crappy AI upscaling problem that Xenoblade X has. They're saying that these upscales are better, so that'll be nice.
Have they not gone back to fix?
I'm not sure. I think they said they were going to address it.
Well, that'd be nice. I do appreciate that they've are releasing Switch 2 versions of these. I've never played a Xenoblade game, but I have thought about it, and it's nice to have more options at least.
It has a really good combat system. So like anyone who hasn't played it, your character's essentially kind of auto attacking. There's like a basic main attack that they do. But then you have what they call arts, and it's like this kind of scrolling menu. Think like the PS3 UI, where you move left to right and you're picking, well, do you want to do a magic attack? Do you want to do just these different abilities that you have?
Yeah.
You pick it and then it gets executed just kind of in the order that you've selected it. It's incredibly fun and pretty unique in terms of RPG mechanics. So
yeah, I found myself mixed on the aesthetics of the Xenoblade games. That's been my the chief thing that's made me hesitate with them. But
the funny thing is, the very first one, like the one that was on Wii,
yeah,
I remember that game just like being stunning because it was a Wii game. Like the draw distance, I was just like, how the hell did Monolith make this game look like it does on a Wii? It was super impressive.
yeah.
And it still looks good on the different platforms that it's been coming out on since, but there's something there it's hard to explain. I don't want to say it's just like the same thing over and over, but it's like a lot of mountain, trees, and grass. And even the placeholder image for Xenoblade Genesis, I was like, haven't I seen this before? It's like every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same boat as Zach. I played some of them, like partially, but being able to play in 4K sounds nice.
Well, there you go. The first one's out, and if you want a physical edition, I think it's July 30th, and it's like it just keeps going in sequence. So it's like digital first, and then a physical later. Except for 3, 3 comes out the same day for both the digital and the physical on December 3rd.
I have the digital version of Chronicles, the remastered one, so I could just upgrade for free. Or
yeah, there's an upgrade path. I doubt it's free. It's probably like $5, $10, something like that. I got screwed, by the way. I bought Dragon Quest VII Reimagined or whatever it's called, and I thought it was smart because I was in Target and I was like, okay, I will not buy a game key card. I'm refusing. So I'm like, here's what I'm going to do. The Switch version's on sale, just like the Switch 2 version, but the Switch version is all on the cartridge. So I'm going to buy it, go home, and just do the upgrade path. And then I can play the Switch 2 version. They didn't do it for that one fucking game. I was so irritated. I was like, wait, so there is no upgrade path. You have to buy the Switch 2 version of
You got to be careful with Square Enix, man. They will
it was so annoying.
They will nickel diamond quarter you.
It's like, damn it. Like the one time there's no upgrade path, it's the one game I couldn't help but buy because it's so pretty. Anyway.
You got to double, triple check with Square Enix, I swear. I swear to God.
Oh, speaking of, we didn't mention, they showed it during the Nintendo Direct, Final Fantasy Resonance. What do you think of it getting an HD 2D game?
So I am glad that something which was a mobile gacha game that has been shut down.
Is that what it is?
That's what it's based on. So that they created an HD 2D game based on like the story and characters of that mobile gacha game. So I think that part is cool. But I don't like the look of it. And just like being honest with myself, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is gross and unappealing. I don't know what it is about it. Part of it's just like seeing the Final Fantasy fan service characters next to your party members, you know? Like this, like in the trailer, it's like Cloud standing next to one of them, Zidane from 9 is standing next to another. And I'm just like, this is not a serious game and I do not want to play it.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe too. I'm torn on the HD 2D style. I do think it looks good, but then there's other times where I'm like, well, pick one and stick with it, you know? I don't know. But this just felt like kind of a mishmash. And like you said, like it doesn't feel serious, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
There are some good, like, side Final Fantasy games that have come out over the years. I mean, the most obvious one is Tactics. But like Final Fantasy 4 Heroes of Light, that's a really fun
Yeah.
Final Fantasy
Yeah, that
game
one's
with a
good.
beautiful art style. It doesn't have that same energy, this Resonance game. It's like it's very much jangling the keys in your face.
Yeah, and a lot of the assets seem like reused. Like they showed off a boss battle with tunnel armor from Final Fantasy VI. I'm just like, oh, that's tunnel armor from Final Fantasy VI. You know? Okay, who cares?
Yeah. But let me think. New announcements. I'm not big on Pokopia. Angie might be more so than me, but I was just like, oh, okay, you can go underwater.
I haven't even gotten to play Pokopia yet. I am happy though to see that they're continuing to support it because hopefully that means that they're kind of treating it like Animal Crossing, where they'll give it an extended life. That also means though that I wouldn't expect many more updates after this one.
Well, there's two more, so it's a huge hit
Yeah,
apparently, and
yeah.
so you have this first one, which was Bubble Basin,
Mhm.
and then there's two more that are going to follow.
Yeah,
So
which
if
isn't
you pay
a
for
lot.
it, you're going to get more.
That's really actually kind of on par with Animal Crossing and like generally how many big updates that game got. So I was happy to see that they're continuing to support it at least.
Now, Angie, what about Hello Kitty Party Land?
I'll probably give it a shot. um, I think I had heard somebody say that that game was good. I read that somewhere. A couple of people online were trying to claim that it was good. I don't know
Hey,
though.
well, people talk crap, but what's the one that you play?
Oh, the Hello Kitty Island Adventure?
Yeah, everybody
Yeah,
loves that.
that
Like
game
that has
is
a legit following.
that game is great. It's really fun. It's like it's not as deep as Animal Crossing for sure, but it's if you just take it for what it is, it's fun.
Anyone excited for Duskbloods?
Nah,
Not really.
not really.
Not really.
No.
Yeah.
Deltarune, shout out. I played chapter 1 back in the day. That game's been taking its sweet time coming out. But Toby Fox is just diligently working on it. And then every so often you get a new chapter. I think there's 7 chapters. So 5's coming out. He thinks that they're going to wrap 6 and even start to work on 7 this year. So it's coming along, and it's unique. It's got a pretty interesting visual style. I'm behind on the chapters, so I can't really tell you if the story is like doing it, but
Yeah, I
good for
feel
them.
like good for Toby Fox. I'm glad he's got his success. I liked Undertale. I played Deltarune Chapter 1 and was like, that's enough. That's enough, Toby Fox.
I'm not trying to be mean, but when I saw the Ninjala announcement, I was just like, oh, okay.
I don't even know what that is.
Thank you.
So
There you go. That's all we have to say about Ninjala 2. I was like, why?
I will say I was disappointed by the Rhythm Heaven Groove trailer.
Mm.
But I don't know if it's just I don't like Nintendo's house trailer style, or if it's actually a problem with the game. But the charm that I know from past Rhythm Heaven games, I don't think came through in the trailer. So I have a little bit of worry about that.
Yeah, like I liked Rhythm Heaven. I have the first one, the original. So I was actually a little excited to see the new one. But I agree with you. There was something missing.
Yeah,
Yes,
I actually
yeah.
tried to find. I couldn't find. I tried to find a Japanese trailer for it because I was like, maybe it's just like
Right.
you know,
It needs to be quirkier.
right, because it's such a Japanese.
I couldn't find it. But like, I'm still open to learning more about it and maybe getting excited for it again.
I'm the same.
The one other thing I had on my list, other than the big one you guys are going to want to talk about, is Tales of Eternia getting remastered.
Oh yeah. And they just kind of slipped that in there.
They've been going through the Tales studio has been making a lot of remasters in recent years. And after playing Fantasia, I have been thinking about going back and playing a Tales game that I haven't yet. Eternia was on my list of possibilities. So nice to have this option too, you know?
Well, I watched the Treehouse specifically for the Star Fox content, and then they made a playable demo available later in the day, which I already downloaded and played and everything. It's a very short demo. You really only get one playable level. Um, but I thought it was interesting how the new cutscenes, they're talking about how they're trying to establish deeper, essentially like character relationships and connections and lore. Um, I appreciate that from a narrative standpoint. I thought it was very interesting how one of the cutscenes they showed during the treehouse, um, because we know that Falco and Fox have that rivalry, and he's an ass, but you don't really know why. I don't even really necessarily feel like you need to know why, but uh if you're going to flesh that out, you should do it well. And I thought it was interesting how Peppy is saying how they need to act as a team, and they need to be better at acting as a team. And Falco's kind of sitting away from the group with his back to them, and he says something along the lines of how a good team needs an actual leader, like an actual team needs an actual leader. Um, and this is like he had just been talking crap about Fox's abilities. So there seems to be this implication that Falco thinks that Fox is not a competent leader. And I thought that was interesting. That they were like, well, in the original games, Falco's just the hothead. He's the hot shot. He clearly thinks that he's better than Fox for whatever reason. But they were like, what if we kind of build on that and we create a tension there, and for whatever reason, Falco feels like Fox is not ready to be the leader. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. Gameplay wise, how the demo felt, I really liked it. I thought it felt good. I played with the Pro controller. Um, it felt essentially like just a modern version of the N64 game because that's what it is. And I thought it looked really good. Like I definitely prefer the styling of the N64 games, but the new styling is fine. Like I'm liking it the more I see it. I'm never gonna like it more than the N64 one though.
I don't know if it's just because we played it as kids, but every time they've ever redone the voice acting, like the voice acting was done by the same actors for the 3DS version, nowhere near as good of a delivery as the first game.
No,
And I don't think the voice acting in this, like, it's not bad, don't get me wrong, but the personality and flavor of the N64 one has not been topped.
it hasn't. And the N64 one, whether deliberate or not, has a campiness to it that's just the right amount of camp. It's not cringe, it's not over the top, it's not shitty. It's good and it's charming. I think charming is the right way to put it, but it's very palatable. You're listening to it, and obviously some is better than others. I think that Fox is really solid, General Pepper is really solid, um, Peppy is solid, and so is Falco. Slippy is a little, he could be like a little annoying, but
I love them all.
I'd still take N64 Slippy over current
I don't
Slippy.
think there's any getting away from the fact that the N64 version is going to always be the most iconic.
Mhm.
But having played Zero, I think Zero's voice acting does capture a lot of the same vibe that the N64 one does. And I do not feel that way about what I've seen about this new Switch 2 remake. I think
Yeah, the Switch to the voices, they're kind of that typical modern Nintendo mid, where it's like they're not bad, but they're also somewhat forgettable. They are what they are. But the only voice that I'll say I just genuinely disliked is Rob 64. Rob 64 is he's a robot.
Yeah,
So
he didn't sound like a robot
he
in
de-
this
he
one.
delivers his lines like a robot in the N64 version, and this one he sounds more human.
You know who he sounds like, which
Mm-mm.
made me like him less?
Mm-mm.
Frickin' Miles McKenzie.
Oh,
That's what he sounded like a little bit. It's like, you're not doing it to him.
yeah, because as a robot, he's super deadpan. When he says "location confirmed, sending
Location
supplies,"
confirmed.
it's "location confirmed, sending supplies." But in this one, it's "location confirmed, sending supplies." Like, I don't want you to be human. I don't want you to have a personality. You're not supposed to.
Well, it's like anything that has a modern day writer attached, it just stinks of Marvel Cinematic Universe slop. Like everything's
Mhm.
quirky. You're a robot. Sound like a robot. All right. So there is one key complaint that I have from the demo, and it's very important. When you do a barrel roll and the laser beams hit you, the new sound is booty.
Mm.
The old sound was badass. It was like this sound, and it's nothing like that. So I don't know why anyone changed that. Maybe it was too aggressive for the young people of today or something, but shameful.
Yeah. For the most part, the sound effects seem to be the same, though they have changed a couple of things. But it was a strong demo. And then watching the treehouse footage, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna do any of the online content. I did think that it is interesting that it's like Team Star Fox versus Team Star Wolf. Um, and it's just like team points earning kind of stuff. It's not super deep or anything, but I'll probably give it a shot. But just as a remake, I do think it looks really strong, and I'm really looking forward to it. The demo left me wanting more, which I think is what a good demo should do. So,
Now, I think there's only a couple other things. One that only I care about. I think One Piece Grand Gourmet kind of looks intriguing. I might get that
I wondered what you thought about that because I saw it with Sanji.
because I love One Piece.
Yeah.
So I was like, I might get that. The DK challenges. I'm like, can you just give us proper DLC for this? Like, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't feel like they're doing as much with it. It's like these weird challenges or whatever.
I hate those timed events.
Yeah, like I don't get it. And then I'm not sure like if you get to keep the Mario and Luigi outfits for DK and Pauline, but like if you can't, that's lame. I was like, whatever, it's fine. I do think it's kind of interesting the DK challenge, where you go in and do challenges for like did you see that? Where it's the
Yeah.
stages? I'm gonna probably give that a shot. It's something different for sure. I mean, it's not even like a dedicated game on your desktop. Like you go into that section of the home UI. So that was kind of cool. But does anyone else have?
Who's gonna play Orbitals with me?
I mean, it does look
Fine.
interesting.
No,
That's
what
why
you
you
started
had
for.
kids, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I played It Takes Two and Split Fiction with my kids. So
And play orbitals.
yeah.
No, it looks cool. I'm probably not gonna play it, but it looks cool.
All right, I guess that leaves us then with the big one.
Unseal it.
Yep. So, the rumor mill had been spinning that an Ocarina of Time remake was coming. And I'm just at this point in my life where I'm like, I need to see, I'll believe it when I see it. So when the trailer started and I saw the tapestry and I saw the castle, I was like, okay, this is Zelda. But is it the one? Or is this just like another Zelda game that's coming? But then I heard the little notes, like the very beginning notes of the Lost Woods theme that played, and I was like, this could be it. And then they start talking about the Deku Tree, and then little more notes play, and I was like, oh my god, I think this is really happening. And then they talk about the Kokiri, and I was like, this is happening. And then they show young Link, and he's sleeping, and I started getting emotional, and tears started flowing. I wasn't like ugly crying, but I was crying. But then that's it. Like that's all that you see. And then I was shocked to see that it's coming this year, which means that this has been in development for a long time, I'm assuming. But my issue was what the fuck is he wearing? I was just like, what are you wearing?
Yeah, the weird leather over his tunic.
And I'm like, what is he supposed to be, like a blacksmith? Or I mean, why is it black when he has like brown boots?
They're taking the opposite approach of Square because when Square Enix did the remakes, I think one of the coolest aspects of that trilogy of games is that they were like, yeah, you know how they looked in 1998? They looked really fucking cool. We're not changing it.
Right.
Like they're the same outfits.
It's the
I mean, there
same
might be
outfit.
little tweaks here and there, but they're exactly for the most part what they were in those in that original game.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, Ocarina of Time's pretty iconic. I don't need him to have some weird little leather thing on him. Like he could just be in his outfit from that game.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that has given me pause. I did think that the use of the storytelling element of the tapestry was pretty spot on, because Ocarina has, I think, the most traditionally medieval feel to it of all of the Zelda games, even including Majora, its direct sequel. So the tapestry is very appropriate for that sort of aesthetic. And it's neat seeing that introduced in Ocarina of Time because we've seen it, the scroll work for Wind Waker, the like wall runes for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So seeing the Ocarina version being introduced as tapestry work, I thought that was pretty spot on. Dom, you had mentioned about the like color scheme and the kind of like Disney feel that you were a little
It was
concerned
more
about.
about the narrator, like
Yeah.
how he was saying it. I just said that I would have liked the trailer better if it was just subtitles and not
Yeah.
spoken.
And I think, Zach, were you the one that brought up the really rich color scheme?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which feels like it would be a weird fit for Ocarina as a whole, but could fit, and I mentioned this in person, like it could be a good fit for the tranquil cocoon of life that Link has in Kokiri Forest. Maybe they're just doing more with the lighting, and that contrast could be helpful to tell the story they're telling.
I have a question before we go on.
Mhm.
How disappointed would you be if this is the first half?
Oh, man. And then like the next trailer, you see it pop up underneath part 1 of the Ocarina trilogy.
They do it like the manga or the manga.
I,
Oh my god.
Ocarina of Time remake intergrade.
you know what? Honestly, I think that might be a good sign because I think, listen, the original Ocarina is always going to exist, right?
Mhm.
I've come to feel like even though I have mixed feelings about certain aspects of them, the remake project for Final Fantasy VII is kind of a best case for a remake because they found new things to do, new things to say, new ways to express what was good about Final Fantasy VII's world. And I think if Nintendo was actually blowing this up to a scale that justified two parts, that would at least indicate they're doing something interesting with it.
Yeah, but they'd have to really blow it up because the child saga of the Ocarina game is not that long. Even if you account for some of the side quests you can do like mask collecting and stuff, Young Link's part of the game is significantly it's about a third of the game compared to the adult saga, which is about two-thirds of the game.
So I don't know. I've been meaning to research this and just haven't done it. I can't remember if they said there are dungeons that were left on the cutting room floor for the original Ocarina. So like that's an area they could go into where they're like, oh, we're gonna do this and that, and we just ran out of time or space. Um, Going back to what Zach was saying, I think one of the things that's hard, like especially for us because we lived through it, is that you cannot replicate the feeling of playing Ocarina and Final Fantasy VII for today. Like those were watershed moments, in terms of storytelling, graphics, and so on. Like you could legitimately point to those when they came out and just be like, I've never played anything like this. Like it's like groundbreaking in different ways. Unless you've come up with something just freaking amazing where you can legitimately say, I've never played anything like this. An Ocarina of Time remake is not going to give you that feeling. A Final Fantasy VII remake isn't going to give you that feeling. And so I've been impressed with the FF7 remakes because to me, they're just really damn good RPGs that anyone can appreciate, but still manage to capture the spirit of the original. And it's like it plays with your kind of memories of it, where it's like, hey, you go to Sector 7 and you're walking around in the original, right? And you remember what it was like. You go play the remake and it's like, damn, man, it's like they went in my brain because, like, you kind of are. I mean, I don't know, maybe other people aren't like this, but like, I'm in that environment. I'm imagining what it's like. You're filling in some of the gaps of walking around that district. You get to the remake, it's like they went into that part of your brain and actually rendered it. And it's like, yes, this is what you kind of were imagining it feeling like as you were doing it. When Cloud and all of them are kicking ass and they're flying around the screen and doing everything, it's so much faster and more kinetic than the turn-based combat of the original, but it works. And so you're left with this incredible remake experience. And so I look at Ocarina and I'm like, it's the same thing. You're not going to be able to give anyone the feeling that I had when I was like 10 or whatever when I played it for the first time, because Nintendo Power was putting out screenshots every month for years. It was like, here's the latest, glimpse of the game and that hype and seeing Hyrule Castletown. I remember some of the first rendered images of Hyrule Castletown. You were just like, that's a game? Like, that looks real. Like, this is crazy. Like, you're not going to give anyone that. It's like, I could go make a game in Unreal Engine 5 right now and it would be a hunk of shit, but it would look beautiful. That's the one thing, right? So you can't replicate it. But what you can do is try to capture the spirit and maybe, I don't know. You get what I'm saying?
I think it's more than that. I think the thing that makes Final Fantasy VII's remake project stand apart from almost every other remake out there, the only thing I'd maybe put in that same bucket halfway is the Tango project remakes like Ninja Saviors and Shadow of the Ninja Reborn, is that these are most remakes do not have the A team working on it. Like the original creators aren't really involved, or if they are, it's in a really basic way. This is kind of like a project, like remake projects get given to like junior employees to bring them up to speed, or they're farmed out to third parties. Like Ocarina of Time 3D was farmed out to Grezzo, for example, right? But the Final Fantasy VII remake actually has like Tetsuya Nomura and Kazushige Nojima, et cetera, involved. Part of why it differs from the original Final Fantasy VII is because those people who are working on it have had ideas about the game since it came out, but also like they've got the leverage to be like, I want to say interesting things. So they're not just in a position where they have to slavishly recreate something else, somebody else's work, right? And so the 7 remakes have a vitality that is not present in most remakes. Bloober Team does not get to do things like the Hell House fight from Final Fantasy VII Remake. They've got to try and like, what is a remake of Silent Hill 2? What is it supposed to look like? That's all we're allowed to do, you know?
Because if you go back to the Grezzo remakes of Ocarina, right, and Majora, one of the things that frustrated me with those is like they're pretty games, right? But we were talking about like the color palette earlier. I just consider this to either be BS or cope. But when they were trying to say like this is what we wanted the
Mhm.
game to look like, it's
Mhm.
like no, it wasn't. You're full of shit. Like I don't care what you say, that's not what you wanted. When we looked at Ocarina of Time again, those screenshots and playing it, this was what they were trying to do to make it like real. Like this was supposed to be realistic. You know, yeah, is Link and all them kind of pointy? Everyone looked like that in those early kind of 3D games. But the environment they were creating, you were supposed to feel like you were in Hyrule. And when you look at the sunset in that game, that's no cartoony sunset. Like this is trying super hard to be realistic. The lighting is supposed to be realistic. And so then you get the Grezzo ones, and it's a lot more colorful and almost cartoony in its presentation.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, you're veering closer to maybe the concept art, which is awesome, but this isn't what Ocarina was. So if you go back to this new Ocarina that's coming out, there's questions. Who's making it? Star Fox isn't being made by Nintendo. It's I forget the name, it's like Vernal or something like that. Some external studio is handling Star Fox, and it looks great, but is this the A team? Like, did you take the guys that were making Tears of the Kingdom and say your next game is the Ocarina of Time remake, or is this just another external studio? Uh, and then what are you gonna do to make it different? Are we gonna get this expanded story just like we have in remake for Final Fantasy VII? And I'm sorry, but like I think you have to. I can't help but compare it to Final Fantasy VII. They both came out the same year, right?
No.
Or was it like a year apart or
Yeah, I think
something?
it's a year apart.
So they're in that same time frame as each other, hugely impactful, two of the greatest games ever made. I can't help but look at what Square did with remake and say, you better give me something that's going to make me as happy as the remake games make me. Because Ocarina of Time is like one of the greatest games of all time, if not the greatest as far as I'm concerned. And I'm looking and I'm like, well, I'm already not liking his weird little leather thing on his outfit. It's like, so what are we getting?
I just don't. I didn't need a remake of this game. That's at the end of the day. I didn't even need the 3DS remake. Ocarina of Time feels like it was just too important. It's just too high of a bar to to meet, let alone clear. Um and it's going to be a problem for this game up until its release. Like every single little thing about it is going to be constantly picked apart and criticized, and then of course all the way up to when it's released, when of course it's going to be picked apart and criticized. And I think that it's going to be impossible for this game to be analyzed and critiqued on its own merits. It is just going to always ever be compared to the original. I think even more so than even the 7 remake trilogy is to the original 7. Um in particular because Ocarina of Time was also so influential on the industry. 7 was too in its own right, but Ocarina was a really influential work just in terms of gaming as a whole. So I think it's going to be really, really hard for this game to be taken seriously as its own piece of work. Like as a game just by itself.
the
And
the, the funny thing with Ocarina is that you look at the game and you think of the story and all the places that you go and things that you do. There's like two ways you can think about it. If you're doing the remake, is it you go the Grezzo route and it's just a complete preservation of what you played, and maybe they add cutscenes like they're doing with Star Fox. It's like you flesh it out with more cinematics. Or do you take the Final Fantasy VII approach and say, well, I've got, what is it, 8 dungeons when you're an adult?
if you just take the
Or is it 7?
7 with Ganon's castle.
yeah, it's 7 with
So
Gan's
is it
castle.
6 total? So you got the Spirit Temple, Water Temple,
with
Fire Temple,
6 medallions plus Ganon's castle.
Mhm.
6 begins. Okay, so it's that, and then the 3
And
with
then
Young Link,
the ice cavern.
and the Ice Cavern. So you technically got like 10 dungeons, right? But if you think of Ocarina of Time, you can kind of breeze through that game fairly quickly, right? Like it has story, but you also can kind of skip along. Whereas like Final Fantasy VII's 3 discs.
Mhm.
So what you wonder is what happens if you take Ocarina's story and start trying to flesh it out more? Because I think 7 by definition has more story going on.
There's a lot.
And
I mean, the Ocarina manga actually answers this question already. That there's plenty to flesh out. It's how you do it that matters. And I don't know that it's in the right hands to do that. I mean, I've already been really on the fence about the direction that Zelda has been going for years now. So even if you put it in the hands of the Zelda team and what's his name? The guy who's in charge of Zelda now. I don't know that they'd do it right. I mean, Ocarina of Time also, like aesthetically speaking, um, I had actually seen a tweet that Zack had shown me last night from a guy that was like, "Is it so hard to replicate Yusuke Nakano's art style?" And the answer is no, it's not. They just don't want to. But that art style really captures the spirit of that game. It's a serious game. I think the only other darker Zelda game is Majora's Mask. But it deals with a lot of serious subject matter. And it's not even just like stuff that's like in your face. It deals a lot with themes of loneliness, of being alone, of going on this journey of loss, of being on this journey of growth and adulthood and stolen childhood and being forced to grow up quickly, literally. Um, all of these really serious issues, it should have an art style that matches. And I think that the concept art and the key art from the games from that game by Yusuke Nakano really matches it. So I think an art style like the 7 remake art style, for example, or Final Fantasy 16 would really work. But they don't want to do that. It's always this kind of cutesy. It's always got to have like a cutesiness about it. It can't really have an edge. Even Twilight Princess artwork, Princess's artwork is darker. It has the heavy shadowing. It's kind of a carryover from Wind Waker. That was still Yusuke Nakano, but even that game, the way it was translated from concept and key art to on screen, still it has a softness about it. Link has a fat nose for some reason, even though he doesn't have a nose like that at all in the artwork. It's just this weirdness with Nintendo where it's like, well, we can't be too serious, we can't be too dark. That was
well,
Majora.
one of the things I also worry about kind of goes to Dom's point, and I know, I mean, we've already heard the narrator. We know it's not going to be silent, but there is something to games and not having voiced dialogue because people like to create this analog of like, oh, well, games can, they're like movies. Sure, but games are also kind of like, it fits into the comic narrative where it's like, you don't have spoken dialogue in a comic book, but you do have these real powerful emotional story beats that you can get even without spoken word. And the silence in Ocarina of Time, it's kind of weird imagining like these lines being spoken now. And you could say the same thing about Final Fantasy VII, but at least Final Fantasy, there was that, you transition into speaking in Final Fantasy pretty early, right? By the time you get to the, is there speaking in 8?
10.
10 is where it starts, right? And that's a long time ago. Zelda didn't start having spoken dialogue until,
Wind Waker?
and it's a little
Mhm.
bit, right? In fact,
Yeah.
does Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild have spoken?
They do,
Mhm.
Yeah, there is.
unfortunately.
Yes. So I don't know. I feel like it's not a one size fits all approach to all these games because the when I think of what they did with the 7 remakes, it's like I can't imagine that totally working for Zelda. Like the amount of spoken dialogue and
The lack of spoken dialogue in Ocarina reminds me of the lack of spoken dialogue in Sleeping Beauty, where it's Sleeping Beauty was where Disney didn't care that this was a movie for little kids. They had faith that those little kids could sit through a movie that had very little spoken dialogue and still understand the action and the themes and what you're supposed to take from the film. And Ocarina was similar, where I mean, yeah, it's a video game and the audience, it's an E for everyone, so the audience is going to be younger. that didn't matter. You know, you're still dealing with dark subject matter. You're still dealing with little dialogue and no spoken dialogue. But the Zelda of today and gaming and narration and gaming today, it's like everybody has to talk and everything has to be explained to you. And so I worry that a lot of those feelings of isolation, of being alone, but also having to be comfortable with being alone and your own thoughts, because Lord knows Link was having to get comfortable with that in Ocarina. Like that, none of that's really going to be captured, I think, in this remake. But that's part of what makes Ocarina feel really special, is that journey, this lone journey of a guy who's having to contend with loss, with all of these people that he knew as a child, and he doesn't know where they are. They're either dead or they fled Hyrule. And that feeling of isolation, I think, will be lost in a modern version, in modern storytelling.
I
I
think
will.
I was just say, yep. I think we do have to preface a little bit like the really close personal attachment for like Angie and I,
Sure.
whereas everyone else is probably not going to have the hangups that we're having. So I agree with Angie in all of that. I think the one area that comes up that is a little bit separate from that is just current Nintendo. And I'm like, so what will Nintendo's approach be in this modern era? You know, because I'm like, so are we going to get half the game dedicated to Sheik? Is that what's going to be? You're going to pad it out with
Mhm.
her adventure, you know, on the side, and then you switch between the two just to say, look, we had Zelda in there. She plays a bigger role now
Right.
because, you know, otherwise people will be upset that she doesn't have agency and like on and on. Like I legitimately worry about it because I'm like, this is Link's adventure. You know, it's like she
Mhm.
does play a role. She's not minimized. Like plays the role that she does, and it's super important. But this is Link, and this
Yeah,
is who it should be about.
but Nintendo's been disrespecting the hero of time since Twilight Princess. When they were like, "Oh, yeah, everything he did, like everybody forgot it because of the split timeline shit." And now he's the hero shade. And he's missing an eye for some reason. You don't know why.
So I don't
And
really
and,
think.
and he's really angry that everything that he did was forgotten. Like they've just been disrespecting him for
I don't really
years.
think that's disrespectful. I think that's, like he's had a tragic life, and that was true even if you just look at Ocarina of Time.
Mhm.
Where that ends up in Twilight Princess just is another layer to that tragedy. I don't think you have to see that as disrespectful. But I wanted to respond to a couple of things
Mhm.
that you said earlier,
Mhm.
Angie. First, like regarding like voices and quiet.
Mhm.
Like I do think that is something that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom still do relatively well. Yeah, there's voice acting in those games, but
Mhm.
there are huge stretches where you're just out there
Mhm.
and you don't have Jack Quaid from The Boys as a cube yapping in your ear, right? Like it's just silence out
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
And so I think there's still an understanding on the Zelda team that there is value in just having nothing else between you and the wilderness.
Mhm.
But I also wanted to say I think Sleeping Beauty is actually a really good point of comparison. And I think it is a big difference between Ocarina of Time and Final Fantasy VII,
Mhm.
where Final Fantasy VII, you clearly have like characters with arcs and like twists and turns and all this stuff. And it's not like Ocarina of Time doesn't have characters or twists, but it really feels much closer to like a Japanese conception of like Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey or something like that.
Mhm.
And the resolution at which it's rendered, it almost feels like Ocarina of Time would make it more sense as a painting than as a movie, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
You could easily make Ocarina overwrought if you expand it too much. Is how I feel kind of
Mhm.
when I like just the original game.
Mhm.
It's like there's so many like elegant aspects of the storytelling that are kind of left to your own imagination.
Well, a very good example of that is the carpenter's son, where you just know he's an outcast. You know he doesn't get along with his father. He says something about like my dad's ugly, my mom's ugly, maybe you're ugly too. Like even the way that he talks is a bit veiled. And then you don't really know where he winds up exactly. The when you go to bring him back the Kuko or whatever it is, and the Kokiri girls just like kind of sing songing and telling you he's dead. Like he's a Stalfos. You know, he I guess like, you know, that's probably where he wound up. He probably went and wandered into the forest. And And then he fucked off and I will never see him again. I mean, that's again, it's part of that darkness of that game, but it's really it's up to you and your interpretation to figure out what exactly you think happened with him.
Hopefully, this is something that Nintendo is aware of because, like, I just said, like, in a sense, Ocarina feels like it would make more sense as a painting than a movie.
Mhm.
And, like, you can think of that or Sleeping Beauty both as almost like not real in the same way as like a movie or a more modern movie like game is, but it's more like a tapestry and you're just seeing a series of scenes depicted on the tapestry.
Mhm.
And I was going to say that and I was like, oh, this trailer actually started with a tapestry, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe Nintendo is like more aware of like the nature of Ocarina of Time in particular.
Mhm.
Maybe there's reason to be hopeful. I don't know.
I mean, it's a tricky beast because like you
Yeah.
could even look at something like, and I've talked about this I think in previous ones of these podcasts, but the world traversal when you're going from Hyrule Castle all the way down to Lake Hylia. What's interesting is that like I remember when the game was being worked on, they'd interview them and Miyamoto would be like, "Oh, you wouldn't want to jog across that in a day." But then like you think about it like in terms of like all the games you've played since even Breath of the Wild, it feels so tiny by comparison, right? It doesn't really take you that long to get from one end to the other, but your mind fills in the blanks. It feels epic in your head. Now, especially the first time you played it, because you've never played anything like it. And so it legitimately feels huge. But if you go back to Ocarina of Time now and you compare it to crossing like the freaking wilderness of uh Twilight Princess, it feels tiny, right?
Mhm.
But it's like, but I don't think I'd want to make it bigger. It's like I know it's supposed to be big. I grasp that just as a method of the storytelling. It's like think of it in terms of the shortness of the days. You have a day-night cycle. It doesn't take very long for it to go from morning to night in that game,
Mhm.
right? You go through a whole 24-hour cycle and it's truncated, but you as the player understand what's happening. You're filling in, you're supposed to artificially be thinking I've gone through a whole day, even though it was only whatever, 6 minutes in the real world. So if I'm crossing from one end of Hyrule to the next, I don't need it to actually be in game 8,000 miles long. I can fill that in myself as I'm playing.
Yeah. I don't think it feels small. Honestly, like I know like it doesn't take that long to cross Hyrule Field. They had to like shorten the day that as much as they did so that you couldn't make it from Kokiri Forest to Hyrule Forest, that Hyrule Castle that first day.
Yes, you can, but you have to roll the whole way.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
It seems like they
Yeah.
didn't expect you to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But like I feel like maybe some of it is like the level of abstraction that's present in Ocarina because like I know you guys have used the word realistic to talk about Ocarina. I don't really think of Ocarina's style as realistic. I think it is like yeah, like mythical. Like the level of distance you have between what's represented in game and what's supposed to like what the real world version of that would be. I think it makes it very easy to see the world in a few polygons. And I think if you make it more realistic, like if you just make the Unreal Engine version of Ocarina of Time, I do think you risk losing that and making it smaller.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I did say comparatively, right? I'm not saying it's necessarily super puny, but if you do compare it to almost anything else with an open world, it feels small in that regard.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
the opposite viewpoint here is sometimes less is more, right? Now, it's been a minute since I played Twilight Princess, but I kind of stand by I barely remember the open world of that game, and I know it's huge. And there ain't like anything to do in it. There's points of interest in it, but it's just big, right?
Mhm.
And I think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom do a better job of giving you stuff to do in the giant world that Hyrule is in those two games. But I don't think I'd be missing much if you reduce that map by half
Mhm.
or even gave me a third of it. It's like a lot of these modern games, they're like obsessed with this notion of bigger, bigger, bigger. We listened to a talk at GDC, or I did, where they were talking about using AI to figure out where's the player at now in the game world, and then we're gonna extrapolate where they've been to where they're probably gonna go using the AI, and then the AI will render that giant chunk of the world, cut off the other part to save memory. I'm just like, my God, how big does this shit need to be? It's like, where am I really realistically going to go? You can't even go into a third of the buildings in most of these. As cool as it is the web swing through Manhattan in like Spider-Man on PS5, PS4, you can't even go into any of those buildings. There's like a couple buildings you can go into. Otherwise, it's just this giant thing that you can swing through. Now, it's effective for Spidey, but like I'm playing Zelda, it's like, I don't know that it would be better if you made Ocarina and the map as big as it quote unquote actually would be if it was, real. It's like it's just bigger, but I don't know that it's better.
I think my closing thought here is just, again, I don't know that this game needed to be remade. Um, I'm not necessarily opposed to, since we already got the Grezzo 1-for-1 remake, doing something different in this remake. I just, I'm going in with very low expectations. Not, I don't want it to be bad. I just know that I have such high expectations for something like this that I don't know that they'll necessarily be met. And, it is what it is. But
And it could still be good even if it's not as good.
yeah,
Like
like
Resident Evil 4 remake.
yeah, I think that's a good point of comparison. I want it to be good. I'm very anxiously looking to see like what do young Link and adult young Link look like? Like what do their outfits look like and all that. But
I mean, we've seen in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, they pretty much just gave you the modern day rendering of those outfits,
mhm,
and I think they look cool.
it did look cool.
It's like I would play both those games in either the Ocarina of Time or the Twilight Princess costumes for like the bulk of the game. And I did enjoy some of his suits from like, like the new suits that he has for that game, those games. I think one of the problems this series has had since Twilight Princess, and frankly, since Lord of the Rings came out, was somebody saw Lord of the Rings and was like, oh man, we gotta take that shit and mash it up with Zelda from now on. And then look at Twilight Princess. It's super heavily influenced visually by Lord of the Rings. And you've kind of had that ever since. You still have that sort of basic styling for Link in Skyward Sword. And then if you look at the outfits he can wear in Tears and Breath of the Wild, it still kind of has that look. And it's not a bad look, but it's like I'm almost positive they're gonna say we need to give him something like that for this, especially with the movie coming out. So, I mean, who knows how much that's hovering over their heads, where they're like, oh, there should be some synergies.
All I know is that he better be handsome. I mean, like, because he's
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 getting the tomato nose again.
he's supposed to be the handsome Link. They based him off of Leonardo DiCaprio. That's what I think it was one of the designer's wives was like. Well, he was a little boy, in all the other games. Like, why don't you make him handsome? And Leonardo DiCaprio was the big heartthrob at the time, and so that's what they based him off of. But I mean, if anything, they should look at Team Ninja and how every character in the Hyrule Warriors games, especially the first one, was very good looking and attractive. Um, Look at the Final Fantasy remake. Look at 16.
The FF7 remake, especially.
Yeah,
Like, everyone's great looking.
everybody's good looking.
I'd marry Barrett.
Like there's just like no excuse. He needs to be handsome. So that's my closing thought on that. So yeah. So anyway, there was a lot to catch up on, and there are a lot of really interesting games coming this year, into early to mid next year. So
And Ocarina's this year, so we'll be talking about it sooner rather than later, I think.
yeah. So thanks for joining us on this long journey of talking about what's coming and what we're looking forward to, and we'll catch you on the next one.